Now, let's say I'm a psychology.
Oh, here we go. Already 3 people are watching. Oh, wow. Okay. If you guys are here, I am just getting set up, so it may take me a second. This is my first stream, so I'm going to have to work through some of the details as well as getting chat up. I'll just turn this off for now. Okay, perfect. I got chat going. Perfect. Should still be live. Rename the stream if I can. Okay, let's see. Switch account. Probably have to do that here. Bear with me, guys, if you are in here. Today we're going to be doing a stream. It's going to be the start of a series of deep dives into stocks. I'm going to do a new stock every single day. Bring you guys with me. So today we're going to do Shift4 deep dive, renaming the stream, guys, bear with me. Daily stock deep dive, Shift4 payments, daily stock deep dive, day 1. Sweet. And we're going to need to get a new cover for this. It's going to be a little bit slow start here as I just figure things out. So not going to be the most exciting for the first little bit here. So I apologize for that. Again, it's my first stream on the channel. I'll just check the comments periodically. If any of you guys are chatting, I'll try to respond. Any questions? I know probably a lot of you guys are here from expecting some kind of crypto something, as that is what the channel used to be. Okay, I don't know how high quality this image is, but we're gonna go ahead and put that as the thumbnail. Okay, here we go. Change. Shift4 payments, daily stock deep dive, day 1. Perfect. All right, perfect. Just updated the stream name and the thumbnail, so hopefully that will be up and running soon. Perfect. All right, exciting. This is my first live stream, so I'm excited to be here with you guys. This is also going to be obviously in the live stream section of the YouTube channel, so if you guys want to come back later and watch the rest of this, see conclusions, tune in, tune out later, but you're still interested in reviewing anything I talked about, you're more than welcome to review the live stream. That'll be in the live section of the YouTube channel. So, okay. I'm gonna start with looking at our stock master sheet. So, this is something that me and Jake have put together. It's a spreadsheet, so maybe not the most exciting, but I think this is a very effective way to as an investor, start to build out your understanding of different companies. I think writing things down is super important because you can't always keep every aspect of the company at the top of your mind. So writing it down, being able to review it later, especially if some event happens, turbulence in the market, and you're like, okay, I haven't looked at this company in a couple of weeks. What's my thesis again? Should I be scared about this market turmoil, whatever? So I think having a sheet like this, something like this, is super important. So today we have a bunch of stocks in here. So the idea of this series is we don't have them all filled out yet. So you can see there's a lot of blank rows. So just want to go through, fill out All the rows we don't have filled out. This is a lot of statistics, and our projections are in here, bunch of stuff. So, but yeah, and then that all kind of gets populated into here, which is kind of our key KPI, key performance indicator for what stocks we want to invest in. I don't know why it's not showing the names of the stocks there. It's kind of annoying. Let me see if something's messed up. It does. Okay, we can fix that real quick. It should be an easy fix. There we go. Now they're back. Okay. So we actually have a video about... Ooh, no, that's not right. Why is that ticker? Hims Lemonade Root. Should be Tesla. No, that should be Hims. Okay, we're missing one. I'll fix this later, guys, so don't worry about too much. But yeah, the idea is that you get data like this. These are off a little bit. This middle one should be Lemonade. This one should be Tesla. And then this one should be Hims. So I'm not exactly sure where Tesla is. But I wrote up this stock deep dive process. I'm learning stock deep diving myself as well, so I'm not an expert at all, and you guys can feel free to oh, it's in subscriber only mode. I definitely don't want it in that mode. Okay, let's see if I can change that. I just realized that. Let you guys chat more. Visibility. I'm looking at the back end here, guys, trying to figure out how to let you guys comment, because there are a few of you in here watching. So I didn't realize it was in subscriber mode only. I don't think we have nearly enough people to have it turned like that. Okay, participants who can send messages, anyone. All right, I've just opened up the chat. Sorry about that. I didn't realize that's the setting was on. So feel free to chat if you'd like to. Perfect. Anyone can chat now. So I'll constantly be looking at chat, answering any questions you guys have. So, all right. So I'm going to go through this stock deep dive process. This is the process I'm going to be following. I've written it up based off of what I've learned from Jake. He is my older brother. He is the head of this YouTube channel. And we've both learned a lot from Warren Buffett, a lot from Peter Lynch. So this process, this kind of SOP, standard operating procedure, is kind of a document. It's definitely not perfect. It's far from perfect. It's going to continue to get improved, but we're going to try to follow this document to go through every single one of these stocks. So this is going to be a daily series. I'm going to get on here and I'm going to do a new stock to deep dive. Maybe some of them might take multiple days, but today we are doing Shift4 payments. We're going to get hopefully a good understanding of this company, and ultimately the end goal is to do a projection out to 20 years, and that way we can get our 20-year ROI. So this is ROI X. So for $1 you put in, the idea of this chart is that you'll see how many dollars it will turn into. So again, these tickers on the bottom are a little messed up. I'll have to fix that later. So say you put $1 in NVIDIA, we're saying that dollar will turn into $5.38 in 20 years. So we're going to be doing Shift4 today according to this process. All right, so in order to understand a company and whether or not it's a good time to acquire shares, I've come up with the following process. While not perfect, as nothing is, I believe that if you do the following and are able to understand how the company works, it will have a high chance of being a good investment. The following helps you build models, understand company flywheels, threats, products, competitive advantage, and the possible asymmetric opportunity the company may or may not pose. And most importantly, an investment KPI, key performance indicator, that allows you to compare any two companies and decide which one has the higher upside. As there are many great opportunities in the stock market, I believe that the ability to numerically quantify the greater opportunity is far more important than just knowing if a company is a good investment. So what is the great KPI that allows you to compare any two companies on the stock market, no matter the market cap, industry, or any other apple to oranges comparisons the companies might pose? It's definitely not new or revolutionary. it's the company's 5, 10, or 20-year ROI, return on investment, depending on your time horizon. So choose your investment horizon. For me, I'm 24 years old, so I have a very long investing career ahead of me. So I decided a 20-year timeline works best for me. I believe 20 years is around the maximum time possible to forecast and allows you to make moves based on long-term trends. Important note, while I forecast ROI out 20 years, I also need to believe the company will continue to be a good investment far past the 20-year time horizon. So this allows me to see past short-term trends and FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. When I buy stock, I buy it with the understanding there is no other stock I know of, at least, that will turn each dollar I invest into more money in 20 years from today. So step 1 of the stock deep dive process is understanding what valuation metric or KPI for the investment you're actually trying to achieve. Many well-meaning investors buy great companies and get good returns, but limit their lifetime returns by not aiming for this KPI. Ultimately, this simple and straightforward KPI is what actually matters at the end of the day. I want the most possible money in 20 years. Tomorrow, I want the most possible money in 20 years and 1 day. So that's kind of my outline of what my goal and what our goal here at How to Invest is. So the definitions, I'm not going to go over this for now. I think I can explain definitions as we go since this is a live stream. But yeah, we'll get into the process. So the process, I'll break down the process into actionable steps. If you go step by step, you will be able to find ideas on what companies to deep dive, understand the company on a ground level, forecast the company out 20 years from now, and put a numeric value on it. Taking notes as you go is recommended. As you see, we got our spreadsheet. I also have a blank text document, Google Doc, open for me to take notes on as well. After you repeat this process for the companies you're interested in, you'll be able to see which one has the highest ROI multiple for 20 years from today. Peter Lynch recommends a minimum of 5 stocks in your portfolio. However, he does not mention how you should weight it. I recommend buying the 5 stocks with the highest ROI. I would put a little bit of a caveat on that. So currently in my portfolio, I only have 3 stocks. And those stocks are my highest conviction stocks. It's Jake's highest conviction stocks as well, and are the 3 stocks with the highest ROI in 20 years. So it can definitely seem risky. There's a really good Warren Buffett bit about diversification that I would recommend everybody watch. If you go to Jake's X account, he has it in his X profile feed. So if you want to go watch that Warren Buffett clip, you can go to Jake's X account and you can find it there. But he talks about how it seems a little bit crazy to put more money in your 20th highest conviction stock when you can just put more money in your first highest conviction stock. And as you'll see through this process, like, if you truly understand the company and understand the risks, you can make a very, very informed decision. So knowledge mitigates a lot of the risk. Investing in companies you do not understand is the riskiest thing you can do. So if you don't have the time to deep dive, you're just gambling. So, but yeah, we'll keep going here. I recommend buying the 5 stocks with the highest ROI and weighting your portfolio based on the ROI potential, as I'll show later in the process. We're not going to do that today. We're just going to do the deep diving part, and we're also going to skip this generating ideas part because we already have a ton of ideas for companies to look into. So generating ideas. How do you know what companies to deep dive? I'm still going to read through this even though we're not going to do this part today. So this can be hard at first, but with time you'll have more ideas than time to deep dive. Looks like it's probably an A in there. Peter Lynch and Warren Buffett suggest investing in what you know, and I 100% agree. However, you can expand what you know through research. Perhaps you want to invest in a biotech company. This is 100% possible without any prior knowledge about biotech, but will take significantly more time, as it is advisable to become knowledgeable in the biotech industry and the science behind the product your company and competitors are offering. For the curious, researching companies like this is a dream. You get to expand your knowledge of how the world works and potentially make money on that knowledge. If you're time constrained, however, I suggest sticking to what you know. All right, step one to generating ideas. And again, guys, a lot of this comes from Peter Lynch, Warren Buffett. So you can go read their books, and they'll have a lot more detailed type of breakdowns of these ideas. So step one, what products do you currently use on a regular basis in your personal life or at work? What company makes those products? So, I mean, just looking around me, like I'm on a PC that's running Microsoft software. Next to me, I have my iPhone. So, Apple makes that device. So you can just look around you what you own, and maybe get some ideas for some companies that way. Step two, what products do your friends and family use on a regular basis? What company makes those products? So same idea. Peter Lynch got a ton of his ideas for investing from products his wife and or daughters were using. So that was a great idea generator for him. Step three, walk through the local mall and see what stores get the most traffic. Another thing Peter Lynch would regularly do. Step four, look up popular products online. What company makes those products? So I recently did that. I looked up what were some of the best selling products recently in the last 5 years or something, and it showed me like which product and the percentage increase in sales over the last 5 years, and I was able to do some research, see what companies were selling those products. I didn't really get any great ideas from that, but for example, recently I was thinking about Zins, which is a super popular tobacco product, and I was like, oh, who makes Zins? So I did some research. It's a company called Philip Morris. So I mean, that's a company on the stock exchange that you can invest in, and I got that idea just because I knew Zins were becoming more and more popular. Again, not a company I would necessarily want to invest in. I haven't done a deep dive on it yet, but I don't plan on doing it soon. It was a very indebted company. These old tobacco companies, they're not what they used to be, and I think probably for a good reason. But yeah, so we can generate ideas for which companies to invest in a lot of ways. So step five, watch YouTube channels to see what companies other retail investors are buying. And I can list off a bunch of different YouTube channels that I watch on a weekly basis that I find super insightful. But yeah, there's loads of them. We're one of them, one of many. So we'll give you ideas as well to look into and deep dive yourself. So step six, read online forums like Reddit or X to see what companies other retail investors are buying. So I'm a part of the Lemonade investor community on X. I highly recommend joining that community, but my brother loves posting in that community with tons and tons of great insight based off of his research. So the retail investor community is a great community. There's tons and tons of people in there. So I would definitely recommend going and checking out different retail investor communities. They'll all be sharing their ideas, their research. So it's a lot of valuable information in those communities, X, Reddit, etc. Maybe less so Reddit. Stay off Wall Street bets, I'd say, but I actually haven't spent much time on there, so I can't say definitively. I think X is probably a better platform for it, in my opinion at least. And then step seven, look up articles on others' investing theses on Substack, Seeking Alpha, The Motley Fool, and other websites. There's people posting articles on investment ideas all over the internet, but do not buy based on someone's recommendation. You should be buying companies because you understand the company on a fundamental level, and you have developed your own conviction in that company. So just an important caveat there. If you follow these steps, you'll have more ideas than you know what to do with. Start with the most familiar companies or the ones that sounded the most interesting, and we'll be able to weed out some of the ideas in the early steps of the next section. So like I said, I was looking into Philip Morris, and I realized they were highly indebted. They didn't seem to be growing revenue or profit very quickly, and just looking at a few key metrics like that, I was able to say I don't plan on spending the time to do a deep dive on this company right now. Maybe it'll be some extra time in the future, and it'll still be interesting because I do think Zins is becoming a very popular product. All right, so prioritizing ideas. We already have this, spreadsheet full of ideas that I need to deep dive. So Again, I'm not going to be doing the generating ideas part on this live stream, but maybe in future live streams once we've gone through all of these companies. And we might take some of these companies off over time. I'm not exactly sure. I'll deep dive every single one of them. And like today, I was like looking at this list. If I wanted to do them in order, maybe I would have chose Root. Shift4 was a stock I recently owned, a very small position in, only a couple $100s, and I bought it meaning to do research, which is something you can do. You're much more likely to research a company if you own it. It's probably not the best way to go about it. You should probably research it first before you buy it. But I know Jacob had done a bunch of research. He had recommended it to me, and I bought it with the intent of deep diving the stock. I just hadn't got around to it. I actually divested out of that position to put more money into my top 3 conviction stocks, but I am interested in deep diving it. The CEO is a very interesting person. He was supposed to become the head of NASA. Recently, he is no longer the nominee for Trump to become the head of NASA, so I'm not exactly sure what he's going to be doing now, but there's a new CEO that was trained by the previous CEO that I was just mentioning of Shift4, so I'm excited to learn more about him. The big thing I really am interested about in Shift4 is Shift4 owns quite a bit of SpaceX stock, which obviously is not a publicly traded company, and so I was very happy to own Shift4 knowing I owned a little bit of piece of SpaceX, though very, very small. So I'll learn more about how much of SpaceX you actually own when you own Shift4 stock, all that kind of stuff. So I was like, this is something that's interesting to me, which I'll talk about here. So again, guys, you can feel free to comment. I'm pretty sure anyone, if you have any questions about anything, you can go throw them in the chat, and I'll be monitoring that. So, all right, prioritizing ideas. Now that you have a long list of ideas, we already did this part before the live stream. It might seem like a daunting task to deep dive every single one of them. So the next step of the process will help you prioritize the list. The general idea is to knock companies to the bottom of the list that have weak balance sheets or high PE or PS ratios, which is price to earnings, price to sales ratio. Warren Buffett says balance sheets are always where he starts because it is much harder to hide things on the balance sheet than in the income statement. We want to prioritize companies with strong balance sheets, meaning lots of cash or assets, and low debt. The next step is to deprioritize expensive companies. So step 8 is find the PE ratio and the PS ratio of your company ideas. Step 9 is any company with a PE over 100. This is just our recommendation. You can really set that PE at whatever you'd like. Put it to the bottom of the list is likely a fast-growing company, but much of that growth has already been priced in. A great example of that is Palantir. Palantir is a phenomenal company that is growing very, very quickly with a very, very strong business model. But it has a PE ratio above 500, maybe even 600 at this point. So a lot of that growth, a lot of that strong fundamentals have already been priced in. It's very expensive, so there's not a lot of returns to be had there going forward at this point. I still think it will probably outperform the S&P 500, but I don't think it's going to outperform other companies that I'm currently invested in. So, all right, next step. Step 10, any company with a PS ratio, price to sales ratio above 20, put that to the bottom of the list. This is more for obviously pre-profit companies. The PS metric, obviously it will have one. It will not have a PE ratio if it is not profitable yet. So just another way to kind of deprioritize companies that are very, very expensive compared to, the sales that they're making. And again, 20 is kind of our arbitrary opinion. You can kind of set that to wherever you'd like as you get more experience, and we'll probably adjust that too. Again, I have not been deep diving companies for a super long time, so I am also in somewhat of a learning process. But I believe I've already taken in a lot of great knowledge from some of the best investors like Warren Buffett, like Peter Lynch, and my brother. He also has an incredible track record in terms of CAGR on his investments, so compounded annual growth rate. Step 11, check the company's shareholder equity or net asset value. These were both kind of proxies for the same thing, which is their assets or cash compared to how much debt they have. So if either of these metrics are negative, meaning the company has more debt than assets, I put THEN instead of THAN all the time. But I'm very thankful for autocorrect because I have never been the greatest speller. But all right. I'd also push it to the bottom of the list with exceptions. You generally want to avoid very indebted companies. The exceptions to buying a very indebted company, it would be something like a company that maybe is pre-profit, is spending a ton of money on an R&D product that they're developing, and the product's going to be very revolutionary, very breakthrough. It's going to be an excellent product. It's going to make a ton of sales. They haven't finished it yet, so they have a lot of debt on the balance sheet, but maybe they're close to finishing up that product and then finally starting to generate revenue. That might be a case where there is an exception to the rule. So, all right. Even if the company is expensive by one of these metrics, but you're still interested in deep diving them, feel free to keep them wherever you'd like on the list. This document should become available maybe in the next couple of months. We want to refine it a bit more, but we want to make it available to you guys. I think it's a very helpful SOP, standard operating procedure, to deep dive a company and to get really good knowledge of its fundamentals. So all right, now begins the actual fun part and what we're going to be doing today, which is the deep dive. And again, we're going to be deep diving Shift4. So all right, now begins the fun part, knowing the company on a deep level. This is the most important part. Having a personal understanding and gut feeling is Having a personal understanding and a gut feeling is more important than the numerical calculation we'll do later. Personal conviction is the name of the game. This is where you will build that. Building models are good, but ultimately are always inaccurate to some degree. Conviction, however, in the management, the business model, and the product will be what gives you confidence to buy a stock and hold it for the next 20 years, whether or not it gets the exact 20x you predicted or not. Conviction will make you directionally correct. Avoiding losers is far more important to your investing success than the 15x the company actually gets versus the 25x you predicted. This is especially true when starting out, as your inexperience will make your forecasting far less accurate. Even once you are experienced, black swan events and macro secular trends are hard to predict, and some don't even exist yet when you do your forecasting. All right, so step 12, read the Yahoo Finance or Wikipedia or your website of choice summary of the company. So this is super, super important. I've made this mistake in the past. I start to research a company. I start to listening to their earnings calls, and I don't even know what the company is. I don't know what they do. I don't know what they sell. And I could have saved myself trying to figure that out through the earnings call just by going to something like Yahoo Finance and, reading the summary of that company. They'll usually tell you what products they sell, what industry they're in, and they'll just give you a good starting point to continue to deep dive. So let us go to, I have it open over here on this other page. So we're going to Shift4. I already have it up. I use Yahoo Finance. I use Macro Trends. I use Webull. They all have, their own version of a profile. So the profile is typically where you will find the little description. It's just loading, so I don't know if it's going to load for me. If it doesn't load, I'll just pull up here we go. Okay. So Shift4 Payments Inc. engages in the provision of software and payment processing solutions in the United States and internationally. The company offers payment platforms which provide omni-channel card acceptance and processing solutions across multiple payment types, including credit, debit, contactless card, Europay, MasterCard, and Visa, QR Pay, and mobile wallets, as well as alternative payment methods such as Apple Pay, Google Pay, Alipay, and WeChat Pay. It provides technology solutions such as SkyTab POS, which provides purpose-built POS, which I'm pretty sure POS is point of sale. POS meaning point of sale. Yeah, so this is like if you're out, maybe at a football game, they have those little tablets that take payments. Okay, so it provides technology solutions such as SkyTab PO. Okay, so this is a specific. This might be their POS, point of sale offering, SkyTab. So maybe we'll hear more about SkyTab later in the earnings call. So that'll be interesting. Which provides purpose-built point of sale workstations, SkyTab Mobile, which provides pay at the table, order at the table, delivery, customer feedback, and email marketing solutions. SkyTab Venue, which provides mobile ordering, countertop point of sale, self-service kiosk, and digital wallet solutions. So if you've ever been at a restaurant where you can pay from the table, oh my gosh, that is so convenient. I love that. I've only been to a few places, but it is way nicer to be able to just pay at the table instead of having some server come take your card, and then they take your card, and then they come back, and then they give you this piece of paper, and you got to calculate out, the tip on top of whatever you just paid, and you're pulling your calculator. I mean, it's absolutely doable. I don't want to sound like I'm some lazy person, but these little conveniences can elevate your customer's experience at the restaurant, make them more likely to come back to spend more money at your restaurant. So that is very important. Okay, SkyTab Venue, which provides mobile ordering, countertop point of sale, self-service kiosk, and digital wallet solutions. Lighthouse. Okay, so this might be another one of their products. So we got SkyTab. So we can actually start filling out SkyTab POS, which would be counter sales, pay the table type things. Okay. Lighthouse. Okay, Lighthouse is a cloud-based suite of business intelligence tools. Interesting. That include customer engagement, social media management. So sounds like this is going. They have some products well beyond just the finance and payment solutions. This is a cloud suite, business intelligence, which would be maybe some like artificial intelligence play, something like that. I'm not exactly sure. So hopefully we'll learn more about this product in some of the earnings calls we listen to as well. So, okay, that includes customer engagement, social media management, online reputation management, scheduling, and product pricing, as well as extensive reporting and analytics. The giving block. Okay, so this Lighthouse is a cloud-based suite of business intelligence tools, but it's more like, what is that? Customer engagement, social media marketing. What's the name for that? Like, it's all customer facing, reputation management. So this is called Lighthouse. Okay, so they have SkyTab POS, and they have Lighthouse, which is a cloud business intelligence tool. That's how they describe it, at least. Cloud business tool, including, customer management. What else was it saying? Reputation, social media. I think social media is more important than social media. Social media, perfect. Management. Alrighty. Shift4's, yeah, okay. Just seeing some people come in and out. I'm guessing they're expecting something to do with crypto. Oh shoot, I have the wrong video down. There we go. That should make it more entertaining. You actually see what I'm looking at and reading. Perfect. All right, so they have the giving block, a cryptocurrency donation marketplace. Okay, Shift4 Shop, an e-commerce platform that creates a web store and tool management, product catalog, order fulfillment, and order and inventory management, search engine optimization, and secure hosting, and marketplace that enables integrations into third-party applications as well as loyalty and inventory management. Okay, so this is really cool. So this is like a Shopify competitor. So like an e-com platform. That's really cool. They have a lot of different products here. Okay, so this is a e-com platform. So my original understanding of Shift4 was that it was pretty much just exclusively a payment processing company, but they seem to have a lot of products beyond that, which I really like. E-commerce is a huge space, and the predominant company in that space is Shopify, and they have a massive market cap. So, you know, if Shift4 was able to, you know, take some of that market share, that would be huge for the stock. All right, we'll keep going to other products. We already read all of this. In addition, the company provides merchant operations and support services, including underwriting, onboarding, and activation, training, risk management, and support. So it's a suite of, you know, kind of just operations support. So just kind of offer operations support to companies. Operations support for companies. So onboarding, underwriting. Very, very interesting. Including underwriting, onboarding, activation, training, risk management support. Also provides software partner operations and support services, including software integrations, compliance management, partner support, partner services. The company distributes its products through independent software vendors. So software vendors, they're going to be taking a cut. That's not ideal. Ideally, we want companies to do direct to consumer. That's a much better business model, but it does mean more OpEx to support those operations. So maybe I hope to hear in the earnings calls that they're trying to move away from these software vendors and going direct to consumer, direct to businesses that they're selling to. But you know, we'll have to see what they're saying about what management is saying about that. So, all right, internal sales and support networks, enterprise and value add resells. The company was founded in 1999, headquartered in Pennsylvania. So this gave me so much information, so you can see how valuable starting with reading this is. Just gives you a great idea. Like, I learned so much in here, especially about their products. So this is a great description. I don't know if all of them were quite this good. I'm going to add a little bit more information here. So companies, underwriting, and so much more. So we'll get a better idea of their products as we continue down this process. So, all right. But that is our first step. So next step is watch the latest investor day the company has done, if any. All right, so we're going to go over to YouTube now. I was trying to figure out some black background blur for this live stream, but it seemed like it was very complicated, and I decided it wasn't worth it. I think the camera is fine enough. So again, guys, feel free to put anything in the chat. I'll answer any questions you have. All right, so Shift4 Investor Day. Alrighty, let's see what comes up here. Look at that. But that's probably because I'm subscribed, so not too shocking. We may not be on YouTube. We'll see if Shift4 Investor Relations might have something. All right, Shift4 Investor Relations, Investor Day. Presentations. See if they have anything. Excuse me. Investor Relations calendar for Investor Relations Day 2025 presentation. Okay, so this is a document. We might go through this a bit later. It's good to know that's there though. Shift4 to host Investor Day and release fourth quarter earnings results on February 18th, 2025 in Las Vegas. Okay, so they should have we need to find this Investor Day. So there was an Investor Day. Let's see if we add Las Vegas 2025. Doesn't look like this is on YouTube. I hope we can find this. 11 days ago. This is Corporate Talks. What is this YouTube channel? I feel like I've seen this channel before. Don't know if this is what I'm looking for. It doesn't look like that's what I'm looking for. All right, we keep looking here. To host Investor Day and release fourth quarter. So it sounds like maybe the fourth quarter earnings call includes an Investor Day. Okay, so we probably just need to find the fourth quarter, which is going to be here. So presentations, Q1 2025 shareholder letter, Investor Day presentation. There it is. Okay. Oh, this is the same thing here, I think. This is the exact same thing. We can go through this, but if we can have a video listening to management talking, I'd rather see that. Maybe I need to go to press releases. Okay. I'm going to do Shift4 2024 Q4 earnings call. Is this? Yes, here we go. All right, earnings webcast. I think this will also include somewhat. I'm going to do this over on this other screen just for privacy. So I'll bring that back once I'm logged on. Should get us in. Perfect. All right.
Greetings and welcome to the Shift4.
Leave that up. We want the letter as well. This might be exactly what we have here, though. Let's see. Investor relations. No. All right. We'll leave that up. I'll bring it back over here, though, in case we need it later. All right. This is the shareholders letter. Don't need that anymore. Alrighty, I am going to use the restroom. I will be right back. So this is not the Investor Day, but it doesn't seem like they have anything in terms of an Investor Day beyond this presentation. So we'll definitely go through this at some point. I'm not going to do it right at this moment. Oh, this is really interesting. Coming soon, currently present. Oh, that's really bullish. Very nice. We love to see a company expanding internationally. That means they have a massive total addressable market. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next step, which is watch the last two earnings calls at least. You know, if you have the time, you can do more than that. But yeah, we're going to listen to Q4 2024 and then Q1 2025. And this doesn't look like it's too long, so all right, let's go for it.
Fourth quarter 2024 earnings call. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. If anyone should require operator assistance, please press *0 on your telephone keypad. As a reminder, this conference is being recorded. And it is now my pleasure to introduce to you Tom McCrowan with Shift4. Thank you, Tom. You may begin.
Thank you, operator. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Shift4's fourth quarter 2024 earnings conference call. With me on the call today are Jared Isaacman, Shift4's Chief Executive Officer, Taylor Lauber, President, and Nancy Disman, our Chief Financial Officer. This call is being webcast on the Investor Relations section of our website, which can be found at investors.shift4.com. Today's call is also being simulcast on X Spaces, formerly known as Twitter, which can be accessed through our corporate Twitter account at Shift4. Our quarterly shareholder letter, quarterly financial results, and other materials related to our quarterly results have all been posted to our IR website. Our call and earnings materials today include forward-looking statements. These statements are not guarantees of future performance, and our actual results could differ materially as a result of certain risks, uncertainties, and many important factors. Additional information concerning those factors is available in our most recent reports on Forms 10-K and 10-Q, which you can find on the SEC's website and the Investor Relations section of our corporate website. For any non-GAAP financial information discussed on this call, the related GAAP measures and reconciliations are available.
Before I continue, I'm just going to check the audio, so there's going to be a little bit of echo, so I apologize for that.
Reconciliations are available in
Before I continue, I'm just going to check the... sounds good. All right.
Today's quarterly shareholder letter. We are hosting our Investor Day event today in Las Vegas, and as a result, we unfortunately do not have time to entertain any questions at the conclusion of our prepared remarks. With that, let me turn the call over to Jared. Jared?
Hey, thanks, Tom.
Very interesting. So they are not taking any questions, which is pretty atypical, not typical at all for a earnings call to not take any questions, but that's all right.
We clearly have a lot of exciting things to discuss today, and we have an afternoon Investor Day to go through it. So despite my past tendencies...
There is mentioning that Investor Day, I just cannot find that Investor Day anywhere. Shift4 Investors Day 2025. I just cannot find this anywhere. I would really like to listen to this Investors Day. This is back in February, I believe. Shift4 announces investor conference participation. Fireside chat will be webcast live, and interested parties can access the event. Yeah. Cannot find it. That's all right. We'll keep going with this for now.
and this likely being my last earnings call, I'm going to endeavor to keep this as brief as possible.
So, yeah, just to expand on that, I do have a little bit of knowledge here. He was nominated to become the head of NASA, so he left as the CEO of Shift4, Jared Isaacman, to serve as the head of NASA, which he ended up not getting. Trump withdrew his nomination, so it's a bit of a bummer for him. He was a great CEO. We did not want to see him go, but we'll hopefully hear from the new CEO in the next earnings call, Q1 2025 earnings call.
So as such, we plan to cover a summary of Q4 results, highlights from the quarter, our acquisition announcement of Global Blue, and finally, expectations for 2025. So regarding Q4 results, we once again delivered reasonably strong results that represented records across all of our major KPIs, including end-to-end volumes, gross revenue less network fees, adjusted EBITDA, and especially adjusted free cash flow. So with that, our end-to-end payment volumes increased 49% year over year to $47.9 billion. Our gross revenue less network fees increased 50% to $405 million. Our adjusted EBITDA increased 51% to $205.9 million, and our adjusted free cash flow increased 78% to $134 million. So all of these results represent quarterly records, as I mentioned before. And, despite the doubters, we delivered on the promise of a back half ramp. The back half represented 57% of our full year gross revenue less network fees, with the fourth quarter alone contributing 30% of full year gross revenue less network fees. We also delivered positive operating leverage for the year with adjusted EBITDA and adjusted free cash flow both growing faster than revenue growth. We accomplished all this while completing several acquisitions and deleveraging with the year-end net leverage of 2.5 times. So when we zoom out and look at the multi-year picture, we ended the year surpassing our medium-term guidance, which, as you know, called for 50% three-year CAGR growth in volumes and a corresponding 30% CAGR growth in gross revenue less network fees. Our actual performance came in at 52% and 36% respectively. We delivered these three-year results despite a more challenging economic climate than the one we were operating in back in late 2021. Since then, we experienced both record inflation and record increases in interest rates, the combination of which most certainly caused stress for the average consumer. I'm not sure how many tech or fintechs established a multi-year outlook in November of 2021 and actually delivered, including surpassing expectations on the KPIs that really matter, like free cash flow. Personally, I felt this was an important test for the company and the team, and would speak to the credibility of the organization, which is especially important going in today, where we will establish our goals for the next 3 years. So let's turn to some of the highlights for the quarter. The team did a great job delivering signature wins across hospitality, restaurants, sports and entertainment, and what we're now calling our unified commerce platform, and across multiple international markets. So starting with SkyTab and restaurants, we easily surpassed our initial 2024 goal of 30,000 plus SkyTab system installations. And while we are the second fastest growing player in the space, we do not like settling for second best. So over the past year, we signed signature wins such as the Casa Cipriani, the Minetta Tavern, Burns Steakhouse in Tampa, and Balthazar. Outside of the United States, we installed hundreds of international restaurants across Canada, the United Kingdom, Ireland, and Central Europe. And the broad launch of our payment-led value proposition to Vectron's 300-plus European dealer network in January was very well received, with hundreds of deals already signed up in the month of January, and a very successful UK-Ireland sales conference in Q1 of this year. In short, we are winning restaurants very quickly in the USA, Canada, Ireland, UK, Central Europe, and soon to be in Australia and New Zealand. So let's turn to hospitality. So if you like skiing, you're probably doing it as a Shift4 customer. So last quarter, we talked about signing KSL Resorts and Vail Resorts. Well, this quarter, we are adding Alterra Mountain Resorts, which is an operator of 19 ski resorts in the U.S. and Canada, including well-known ski resorts such as Mammoth Mountain in California, Deer Valley Resort in Utah, Palisades, Tahoe in California, Steamboat in Colorado, Tremblant, and Winter Park Resort in Colorado. We also now power the payments for the iconic Icon Pass. So the Icon Season Ticket Ski Pass, which provides skiers access to over 50 ski resorts in North America, as well as some of their international locations, will be processed by Shift4 as well. Also in hospitality, we renewed our agreement with Great Wolf Lodge. So they're an operator of indoor water parks with multiple locations in the United States and Canada. And we signed many new hotels, including the Meritage Collection of Hotels, which is an operator of several luxury hotels, such as Paso Hotel and Spa in Huntington Beach, California, Koa Kea Resort in Hawaii, the Meritage Resort and Spa in Napa Valley, and Hotel Viata in Austin, Texas. This is just a sampling of the wins in hospitality this quarter. You know, it was not long ago the Bears were saying we were a one-trick pony in hospitality, simply converting gateway customers and likely losing an enterprise. The reality, and this has been demonstrated in our earnings deck over multiple quarters now, is we are number one in the world winning far more net new enterprise resorts and across multiple geographies. So let's turn to sports and entertainment. So the wins keep coming here. We entered into an agreement to power payments for 10 House of Blues locations across the U.S. And in sports, we cross-sold ticketing to the New York Yankees and the Dallas Mavericks. We signed the Arizona Diamondbacks, the Portland Trail Blazers, the University of Southern California. We were also honored to power payments for College Football National Championship, and similar to hospitality, when it comes to S&E, we are also number one in the world. Now let's talk about unified commerce. So we consolidated all of our card-not-present efforts into a new category called unified commerce. So over the past 3 years, we have quietly built a robust one platform, one integration capability that enables commerce all over the world. Our platform capabilities were informed by working alongside a strategic customer, widely considered to be the most technologically advanced corporation in the world. And then we added other enterprise merchants like them. So St. Jude, Allegiant Airlines, BetMGM, Wolt, and really thousands more have started using the platform while we simultaneously invested in technology capabilities such as pay-ins, payouts, cross-border transactions, merchant of record, PayFac capabilities, local-to-local functionality, and a wide array of alternative payment methods, intelligent fraud monitoring tools, and really a very unique set of geographic coverage. And we can do this in a card-present and card-not-present environment. So this platform is especially important in the context of the large acquisition announcement that we're going to speak to more about today. And I just generally believe it was in line with in a line of business that we have not been given really that much credit for, but we should, because it's a TAM that's growing much faster than our base business, and the competitive landscape, especially in less mature markets, is ready for a new entrant. So there will be growth here, and it should be viewed as an exciting development that's really incremental to the Shift4 business that you were underwriting previously. So on that note, we continue to sign nonprofit marquee names like University of Miami, Mercy Corps in Europe, Lupus Research Alliance, Elan University, and dozens more. As a result, we had a record quarter and a record year serving nonprofits on our unified commerce platform. Q4 year-over-year volumes were up 660%, and calendar year volumes were up 319% year-over-year. This growth is before some of our large partners like Give Lively have fully scaled up their integration, so we expect another year of very strong growth ahead. And while it is a small portion of our business, we do see crypto as an opportunity with material potential in light of the support of the new administration. So in addition to offering card acquiring services to the crypto industry, we announced during Q4 we begin equipping our merchants with the capability to accept crypto payments across all our products. So this month, we will wrap up our integration with SkyTab and make this capability available across a very large existing installation base. We will be the first major acquirer to have natively integrated crypto acceptance at the point of sale. And we plan to showcase this technology today at our Investor Day event. For gaming customers using our unified platform, we continue to enter new technology partnerships in support of both our land-based and online gaming casino customers. So with BetMGM, we continue deploying our SkyTab mobile devices for in-person sports wagering throughout the BetMGM locations. And all of these end markets, whether it's nonprofit, gaming, crypto, retail, and others, benefit from our unified commerce platform. So I can't emphasize the importance of our unified commerce platform enough and how this fits into our Global Blue strategy that Taylor's going to talk about in just a minute. So moving on to international, our strategy for some time now has been to follow our strategic customer all over the world and then bring the products, software integrations, and services that have helped us be so successful in the USA into those new international markets. This process is going so well. It's driving restaurant, hotel, stadium, and unified commerce demand in new geographies that it gives us the confidence to announce a deal like Global Blue to take full advantage of the capabilities we've been quietly building over the last few years. This past quarter, we launched several new countries, and that has continued into the first quarter of 2025. We are now processing across LATAM, and we expect to launch an additional 4 to 6 countries this quarter, with Australia and New Zealand on the horizon for early 2025. We believe we have added sufficient global e-commerce capabilities, both local-to-local, cross-border, MOR, and PayFac, that our solution is now a viable option for other global enterprise customers, just like our strategic one. So as my shareholder letter states, we're going to spend this afternoon doing a deep dive on the business, the verticals we aim to conquer, the products that we have built, our go-to-market strategy, and how deeply we are advantaged that we can predict outside growth for years into the future. So we are number 1 in hospitality. We are number 1 in sports and entertainment. We're number 2 in restaurants, but we hate being second. We have a great strategy with our unified commerce platform, and we are the best capital allocators in the industry. So we have proven this time and time again, and we will continue to do so as we progress through our Investor Day today. Our strategy gives us the confidence to provide impressive 2025 guidance alongside a new midterm outlook that takes into account a number of cases from simply sitting on our hands, in which case the results are excellent, to the pro forma case alongside our recently announced acquisition, and last, the most likely case that further accelerates growth in line with what you've seen us achieve over the last 3 years. In any of these cases, we are growing faster and more profitably than any of our peers. It is with this confidence that I can comfortably step aside and pursue this next chapter in my life, knowing Shift4 is on the correct course. And with that, I'm going to turn the call over to Taylor to talk about the recent acquisition. Taylor.
Thanks, Jared. As Jared mentioned in his remarks, it's been our strategy for some time now to build a one integration, one platform to power payments all over the world. Today, we're announcing the acquisition of Global Blue for approximately $2.5 billion in an all-cash transaction, which further builds upon our capabilities in this area. Global Blue is a market-leading payment platform supporting tens of thousands of luxury brands worldwide, including Louis Vuitton, Hermes, Valentino, Fendi, Prada, Burberry, Cartier, and many, many more. They operate a two-sided network offering over 15 million consumers quick and efficient VAT tax refunds when shopping abroad through their one-of-a-kind mobile application and advanced dynamic currency conversion capabilities. To be clear, we've spent many years admiring this business. The combination of their latest capabilities, our growing geographic coverage, Global Blue's existing scale and two-sided network were all factors in helping us underwrite this transaction with a high level of confidence. Simply put, the business standalone is exceptional before revenue synergies, and yet we estimate over $80 million of revenue synergies will be unlocked by the end of 2027 due to the material embedded cross-sell opportunity associated with the 400,000 plus merchants that are current Global Blue customers. We estimate the aggregate embedded payment opportunity to be over $500 billion. As a reminder, our cumulative cross-sell funnel is over $800 billion today, and with this transaction, it increases our unique advantage across this customer base to over $1.4 trillion. The opportunity Global Blue affords us within unified commerce has also attracted two of the world's largest fintech companies, Ant International and Tencent. Ant International and Tencent have historically collaborated with Global Blue to enable a seamless shopping and refund experience via their mobile applications and wallets. Both these valuable partners have committed to further collaborate with us on e-commerce opportunities all over the world and have also agreed to remain shareholders of the combined business. This is an all-cash deal to be financed with existing cash on hand and proceeds from a $1.8 billion short-term bridge financing that will be replaced with long-term debt and convertible financing following the launch of an offering shortly. We expect to close the acquisition in the second half of 2025, subject to regulatory approvals, and our pro forma net leverage is expected to be approximately 3.6 times upon closing of the transaction, and we expect to delever to approximately 3.3 times by the end of the year. This transaction is the largest in our history, which speaks to the conviction we were able to gain as we learned about the business. Despite its scale and unique product offering, it leverages a playbook that we've continued to refine over the last decade at Shift4. Whether it be Revel, GiveX, Eigen, or now Global Blue, we are passionate about identifying critical but often overlooked businesses that have an incredible merchants who benefit immensely from a single comprehensive payment platform. We aim to deliver these merchants what they would have otherwise sourced from 5 or 6 different companies and in turn deliver more value and convenience. With that, I'll turn the call over to Nancy, who will outline our 2025 financial guidance and other key stats for the fourth quarter.
Thank you, Taylor. Jared provided a summary review of the quarterly financial results, so I will just expand on a few additional items. Organic gross revenue less network fee growth for the full quarter 2024 was 26%. This reflects the ongoing strength and momentum across all of our verticals and the monetization and conversion of gateway and software-only customers. Our Q4 blended net spreads were 60 basis points or 61 based on the average blended spreads for the full year, in line with our guidance. Spreads across our core business remain stable. Our Q4 adjusted EBITDA margins were 51% and 50% for the full year. Excluding a nearly 270 basis point drag from recent acquisitions, full year adjusted EBITDA margins were 53%, and we expect to synergize these acquisitions over the next 12 to 18 months. Subscription and other revenue was $115 million in Q4, up 100% compared to the same period last year. The growth was once again driven by our success across SMB, SkyTab, and further penetration of the sports and entertainment vertical, as well as a contribution from acquisitions completed during the quarter. Our adjusted free cash flow in the quarter was $134 million, bringing full year adjusted free cash flow to $399 million, up 46% compared to a year ago. Q4 adjusted free cash flow conversion was 65%, bringing full year to 59%. We are very pleased with our free cash flow generation, as we are one of the few companies that are extremely expense disciplined and laser focused on efficiency gains, which allows us to generate exceptional cash flow without sacrificing growth. During the fourth quarter, we repurchased over 1 million shares for $110 million, leaving approximately $350 million of capacity available as of December 31st under our current program. You can find a complete reconciliation of our shares in the back of our earnings materials. GAAP net income for the fourth quarter was $139 million, and GAAP diluted EPS was $1.44. Non-GAAP adjusted net income for the quarter was $123 million, or $1.35 per share on a fully diluted basis. As a reminder, we have not historically added back acquired intangible amortization to non-GAAP net income and EPS, but plan to do so starting next quarter, in line with our industry peers. Our total indebtedness now has a weighted average cost of 3.4%, and our net leverage at quarter end was approximately 2.5 times. As we had previously indicated, the $690 million of convertible debt due in December 2025 was classified as current debt on our current December 31st, 2024 balance sheet. However, after the recent financing activity last quarter and the strong cash flow profile of our operations, we are well positioned to pay it down at maturity. Now turning to 2025 guidance. We are introducing this guidance excluding the Global Blue impact, and as follows. Volume between 200 and 220 billion, representing 21% to 33% year-over-year growth. Gross revenue less network fees.
Run that back. Just it's really important.
And to pay it down at maturity. Now turning to 2025 guidance. We are introducing this guidance excluding the Global Blue impact, and as follows. Volume between 200 and 220 billion, representing 21% to 33% year-over-year growth. Gross revenue less network fees between 1.65 and 1.72 billion, representing 22% to 27% growth. Adjusted EBITDA between 830 and to pay it down at maturity.
It's always hard to get these numbers when they're spouting it off like this. So sorry, keep going back so I put 21 to 33% growth, but I didn't write down in what it is growth of. I think this is payment volume. Payment volume. But I missed what this one was. I want to double check that that's payment volume.
Now turning to 2025 guidance. We are introducing this guidance excluding the Global Blue impact, and as follows. Volume between 200 and 220 billion, representing 21% to 33% year-over-year growth. Gross revenue less network fees.
Gross revenue less network fees. I'm not exactly sure what network fees are, but we'll have to do some research on exactly what that means. But they're saying they're guiding for some pretty strong growth numbers, and that's excluding them buying a whole new company, which they've already said is adding, 80 million in new revenue unlock. So they could be well above this, 33% payment volume growth, which would be pretty crazy.
Between 1.65 and 1.72 billion, representing 22% to 27% growth. Adjusted EBITDA between 830 and 855 million, representing 23% to 26% growth. And adjusted free cash flow conversion greater than 50%. While we are not providing quarterly guidance today, Q1 is shaping up in line with our expectations for both volume and revenue. We anticipate adjusted EBITDA margins of approximately 45%, which is also in line with historical trends, as Q1 is a seasonal low point for margins. We are also absorbing some drag from lower margin M&A completed in 2024, but again anticipate this to be mitigated by year end. With that, let me now turn the call back to Jared.
Thank you. Thank you, Nancy. We will be saving questions until after our Investor Day, but since this was likely my last earnings call, please know I leave Shift4 in the very capable hands of Taylor Lauber, alongside a great leadership team, those who I have the utmost confidence in and who have been key architects in the firm's growth strategy and overall success over the years. While I can't predict how the process will go, I hope to be able to offer input to Taylor whenever it is requested, and to the extent it's permissible, I intend to remain Shift4's largest shareholder. As the founder of Shift4, from my parents' basement to the multi-billion-dollar public company it is today, I'm incredibly proud of the team and what we've accomplished over the last 26 years. I'm really thankful to my family, friends, the incredible team, our advisors and investors who believed in us, and really in this incredible nation that makes stories like this possible. I will always be grateful. Thank you.
All right, and I realized while watching this is the link right here to the Investor Day, so that's perfect. I was really struggling to find that, so I'm going to go ahead and do this for privacy over here, and then we're going to bring that and watch that next. And then we're going to go to Q1 2025. Perfect. Yeah, they kept mentioning this Investors Day, and I was like, where is it? I cannot find it. So luckily they had the link right here on this webcast.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Tom McCrone, Head of Investor Relations with Shift4. Thanks for joining us today. I'd also like to welcome those of you joining us virtually via the web.
This is 3 hours long. All right, here we go. We might have to finish this in a live stream tomorrow. but this is what you got to do, man. If you're a retailer investor and you're not willing to watch a 4-hour Investor Day, you're gonna have a hard time outperforming the market. If you are willing to put in the time to listen to a 4-hour Investor Day, you're going to understand the company better than anyone on Wall Street. And now you can start to, not take gambles, but make educated decisions on which companies will be the best investment. So, yeah, we're going to start this. I don't think I'll be able to finish this today as I have somewhere to be at 1 p.m. But we're going to go and do as much of this Investor Day as I can. So we're just going to be taking notes here as we go through the Shift4 Investor Day.
Welcome as well. And for all the shareholders that are with us today in Las Vegas, we truly appreciate you taking the time out of your very busy schedules to be with us to learn more about your company. So I'd like to point out that there's a barcode on a card in front of you for those of you here in person. If you scan the barcode, you'll get headshots and bios of all the presenters, board members, and special guests. We do have some customers here today as well.
I actually don't think this whole webcast is about Shift4. Okay, so we're going to have to find where the Shift4 part is.
And I will quickly display.
Go 2x here until we can get to just the Shift4 part. I don't know if other companies are presenting as well. Obviously, it's not as important to listen to them. We're doing our deep dive on Shift4 today, so maybe there's some other interesting companies here, but he looks like me when I was starting this stream, super unprepared. But we got it working. We're chugging along now with this Shift4 deep dive. Oh wow, we got some kick butt music here. Oh my goodness. They do not seem prepared. Alright, let me skip ahead.
The Q&A portion of the presentation. I'd like to quickly call out the other member of the Shift4 Investor Relations team, Paloma Main, if you can raise your hand. And many of you have already met or spoken with Paloma. If you've not, please introduce yourself. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to our founder and CEO, Jared Isaacman.
Perfect, okay. We save ourselves 4 minutes. We're going to slow it back down, though, to 1x. So
2024 was the year of Shift4. Fueled by over 25 years of unstoppable momentum, we shifted things into high gear, driving commerce forward across all industries and across the globe, powering payments and simplifying transactions for the most recognizable brands in the world. Yep, those guys too. And them. Yep, them too. Okay, you get the point. But above all, this was a year of unmatched growth across the globe. We introduced...
Oh, that's actually really interesting. I don't know how easy it's going to be to go back and forth in this presentation, but they service a lot of companies, a lot of countries, a lot of currencies. That's really cool to see.
More hotels, resorts, and other businesses to our 5-star payment experience. Signed more elite teams to our roster. We served up SkyTab for tens of thousands of restaurants around the world. And we've dramatically expanded our unified commerce capabilities. Yes, we've had an unbelievable run with unprecedented success. But now, it's time to go even further. We have big plans in 2025 and beyond.
I think this is in there. They have a whole, here we go. This is all the countries they're currently operating in and the ones that are coming soon. So they are expanding across the entire globe, adding Australia, New Zealand. I feel like that's a very obvious market to, work in. Very Western friendly countries. They're in the East, but technically I would consider them part of the Western world. But yeah, adding more countries in Africa. They don't do much in Asia, but Asia is not very business friendly in my understanding to Western companies. So maybe they have some plans to expand there in the future. That'd be good to see, but they service almost all of Europe, Mongolia randomly. But yeah, these are some Namibia, Botswana, really random countries in Africa. Be cool to see them operate in Nigeria, Libya. Those are some bigger African countries, Egypt. So, I mean, if they're expanding in Africa, they still got lots of TAM, lots of total addressable market to expand into in the future. Argentina, Brazil is a huge market, so it's cool to see them there. I doubt they will be able to operate in China. China is not business friendly towards the United States at all. Very hard to operate in China as an American company. But yeah, Japan, definitely expand there. Korea. India, that would be good for them to get into India. That's a massive market. The Middle East is quite a bit more business friendly, so they could expand to Saudi Arabia. So yeah, they have tons of place to expand. It doesn't seem like they are constrained to their original market whatsoever. So yeah, lots of growth for this company in the future, and that's crazy. IPO, I don't know when they IPO'd, but yeah, obviously they've done a lot of expansion. So go back to the investor day.
We started small, took it up a notch, and now we're shifting forward again, choosing the lanes we want to conquer, and doing it all over the world. Are you ready for more? Well, strap in. Shift4 is moving boldly forward.
I don't know why oh my goodness. There we go. I've been having some issues with my Google Chrome. I have no idea what it is.
Good afternoon, everyone. Man, I'm excited. This is awesome. Is everyone entertained? Were you expecting this, huh? We're going to have a lot to go through today. I will say it was a little awkward sitting in here as we were listening to the audio call. I don't know if that was a plan. We could have just done it up here on microphones. But for those of you who don't know me, I'm Jared Isaacman. I am the CEO of Shift4, at least for a couple more weeks. And I want to welcome you to our Investor Day here at the lovely Fontainebleau in Las Vegas. Shift4 customer, other than a couple boutiques that are independently owned, for those of you that flagged it. I hope most of you had a chance, obviously you just heard the earnings call, but to review our Q4 letter and listening to the earnings call, because I suspect for the next couple hours we're going to spend very little time talking about the past and much more about the future. And this is, of course, especially important for me because as the largest shareholder that will be transitioning out of the CEO role, stepping down from the board, and giving up my...
Him continuing to be the largest shareholder is so bullish. So he's the original founder, and even though he has left for what was supposed to be a political appointment, he is still very, very incentivized to see Shift4 continue to succeed. So I suspect if at any point starts to falter, he is very much incentivized to come back, make sure the company stays on track. Get it to keep going forward. So It's good to know that the founder is still very, very aligned with shareholders. If you decide to become a shareholder, Jared Isaacman is going to make sure that the company is going to continue to succeed, even though he is no longer the CEO.
My voting rights, I care an awful lot about the trajectory of the business. So naturally, we're all, of course, economically aligned as shareholders. As Taylor likes to say, he is getting a promotion, but he's also getting an activist shareholder. But my desire to ensure that Shift4 continues to find success goes well beyond just financial motivation. So I obviously care very deeply about the Shift4 team and their families. I care about my fellow shareholders and the customers that we never want to let down. And so for all these reasons, I've really spent the last few months leading up to today making sure that the team and the business are as prepared as possible for the road ahead. So for me, this has been a very confidence-inspiring journey the last few months, and now I hope to instill that same confidence in all.
We have our first comment. I don't know if there's a time on this, but you'll buy under 20. I actually have not even looked at the stock price yet, which seems a little bit silly. It has some crazy price movement. This is just so you guys can see what I'm looking at here. Let's go to the 1 month. Buy under 20. What would that make the PE ratio if it was under 20? This is 20. You're talking about 1/5. You'd only buy it if it was 1/5 the current stock price. I mean, that's the okay. Forward PE forecasted is higher. Interesting. But yeah, 32 PE. I mean, for a company that's growing revenue at 30%, I mean, that's not really that expensive. That's kind of in line with what Peter Lynch. Is there a particular reason why you'd only buy it if it was under 20? I'd love to hear your thoughts on why you would only buy if it was under 20.
All of you. Okay, so to start, I think this is very important. We kept our promises and we exceeded all of our expectations really since the IPO, and especially since our 2021 Investor Day when we first established multi-year targets for volume and gross revenue less network fees. It's also worth noting at that time.
This is really interesting. I want to look at this more closely. I'm wondering if this is in the Investor Day letter. Hopefully it is. Be much easier to see there. Yeah, okay. So actual medium-term outlook. Gross revenue less network fees. I mean, they've grown a ton in the last 3 years. That's insane. They've been growing at for most of these things. I don't know what E2E volume is. So it's a little bit, yeah, gross revenue, less network fees. I'm guessing these are like Visa fees. They probably operate on the Swift payment network. So maybe that's what this means. But yeah, they've been growing adjusted EBITDA at 60%. That's insane. And adjusted free cash flow at 110%. So they have been growing crazy fast. We're finished with this. We can close that out.
Again, more than 3 years ago, we did not establish any targets at all for EBITDA and free cash flow. The profitable KPIs that should count for an awful lot. We actually left that to all of you and the analysts to figure out, but I think we consistently exceeded expectations, especially at the time we established this guidance. So, we also started. We stated at the time of our IPO that having gone public during a pandemic, with an exceptional concentration at that time period in restaurants, that we would diversify into other very
Whoa. So their IPO was during the pandemic, and this is their chart for markets pre-IPO or at IPO and since the IPO. They've added, this looks like maybe 20-30 countries since IPO. So they're expanding very, very rapidly into new markets.
Pandemic sensitive verticals, and we've done so quite successfully. So at first glance, when you look at this slide, it may just appear we're doing a lot more volume in the categories that we already had. But when you unpack unified commerce, you can appreciate all the verticals that we now serve, that we previously didn't at the time of our IPO. So on that note, our new category, which we're calling Unified Commerce, really represents all of the new verticals we went into at the time of our last Investor Day, which was, again, about 3 years ago. So this Unified Commerce platform represents the platform it represents the platform that we built for a very strategic customer, but now captures the entirety of our sports and entertainment verticals, ticketing, gaming, nonprofit, crypto, e-commerce, and now retail verticals. And obviously the strength of the product is represented in the greater than nearly 100% net revenue retention rates in pretty much all of the categories. So did a pretty good job, I think, diversifying since the last time we really all got together. And we were also able to kind of transform and improve the unit economics of the business as well. So for 20 of our 25 years, for those that aren't aware, we generally served an SMB restaurant, a small restaurant, an Irish pub, for example, on the corner. Those businesses, no matter how good the product or technology is, generally have like a 1 in 3 failure rate within the first year. Now, we have some of the largest multi-billion-a-year customers in hospitality, in sports and entertainment, theme parks, and across our unified commerce platform. We moved up market, increasing the lifespan of the customer while also reducing customer acquisition costs by, well, for starters, picking verticals that we felt we could conquer with very few competitors that were able to compete. By insourcing distribution, we did that in the summer of 2022, which was a dramatic enhancement to our unit economic model. And then deploying capital very intelligently to win faster within the verticals we were already advantaged to be in. Now, we've been able to do this at scale, moving very quickly, because we have the right formula for success. So we have a formula that guides us. We call it the Shift4 way, and we really apply it to virtually everything we do, from our day-to-day responsibilities to some really big projects, as well as our acquisitions. And the formula allows us to do it really better than most. And I would say right from the start, and I talked about this in my last earnings report, not this quarter but previous, we are not exceptional at this yet. So I made a point, last quarter when people are questioning like the sustainability, things like margins, free cash flow, the growth of the business, like where do you derive that confidence from? We're in early days on every one of these. So we still have software that is dated, that needs to be deleted. We did a couple of those acquisitions just last year alone. We have platforms and gateways to take components out of. Our Project Phoenix and Mission Control and our AI initiatives have only just begun this year, or in 2024. And our cultural transformation to live the Shift4 way is maybe in the second inning. And we have 1.4 trillion of volume, by the way, that we are incredibly advantaged to win. So as we continue to master what you see on the screen, the performance will be even more impressive. And I would say, despite that, the results do speak for themselves. So I'm sure many people in the room would say it's been a bumpy journey to get here. And of course, fintech was hated for about half of the last 5 years. But I think our results, especially relative to our peers, are reasonably good. It's interesting to think about with all of the noise that we've encountered as a public company over the last almost 5 years. And there was some pretty wild stuff that was thrown at us from time to time. But I don't think there's a single fintech that has outperformed us since the time of our IPO. I mean, you guys can fact check me on that one. Which again, I think is especially important as we look ahead to the next chapter of the business, which you're going to hear about today. So why will this trend continue to go forward? I'd start with history being a pretty good indicator. We're a 26-year-old company that's grown double digits in pretty much every category for 26 consecutive years without missing a beat, even in the downturn. A lot has transpired over that time period, but we've navigated through it pretty well, I would say, and we've always kind of come out on top. And that starts because we pick verticals very, very carefully, where we have a real right to win and a strong product offering and generally limited competition when you really understand it. We have absolutely never gotten comfortable. We've never capitulated. There's always something coming next. And this has served us incredibly well. It has taken us from one vertical to many verticals, from one continent to 6 continents, and a cross-sell funnel that makes it really, really easy to predict where the next 1.4 trillion in payment volume will come from. And we've never stopped trying to be better. As investors, you generally just see our quarterly reports and the wins that we feature every quarter, But every other day at work, all we focus on is the things that we are not good at, the things we suck at, and then we work really hard to fix them, and then we move on and solve the next problem, and that's how we get better as an organization. And as a result, I do think we've become the best performing fintech stock since our IPO, and we have done so as what I consider to be a very good company. Not an exceptional one yet, but we're on a path to becoming one of the greatest. So before handing it over to Taylor and the rest of the team to go through, I want to give you a preview of what you're going to learn today. So we are doing so with the aim, generally, of giving the people what they want. A lot of people reached out over the last couple quarters of, hey, this is what's of most interest to our investors, and that's what we want to give you. And it's also what I need to hear, for that matter, to know that Shift4 will continue to give outstanding results well into the future. So you're going to hear about how we're going to win at restaurants all over the world. You're going to hear why our product is one of only 2 cloud-based solutions optimized for table service that's being actively invested in and distributed at scale. You're going to learn about our strategy, our product roadmap, our go-to-market plan, and why our approach to acquiring customers is so much more efficient and ultimately better than the competition. You're going to learn why our hospitality product is #1 in the world, why it's already supported a number of signature wins like Altera Resorts, which was a monster this quarter, why it's near impossible to replicate our library of software integrations, and how we're going to take that advantage and we're going to bring it to the hospitality industry all over the world. Similarly, you will learn a lot more about our sports and entertainment product today, why it's truly in a league of its own, why we have more features, and how we're able to serve the entirety of the venue operation as opposed to just parts of it, which is fueling continuous demand, as you can see in our earnings reports every quarter. We're going to talk a little bit about how we spent the better part of the last 3 years building a one platform, one integration that opens up card-not-present and card-present transactions all over the world. We funded and built this product largely under the radar to meet the needs of one of the greatest technology companies in the world, and we've now added thousands of additional merchants to that platform, and we're now ready for many, many more. We will explain how convincing a merchant that they should care about their commerce-enabling solution is in fact quite hard. They have a lot of other problems that they'd rather solve, which is why we have advantaged ourselves with what is now $1.4 trillion in cross-sell opportunity, and we are very good at cross-selling. This includes going over our recent investments as well as a deep dive into our latest acquisition, because what better time to announce a multi-billion-dollar deal than when I'm pretty much out the door? But that should actually reinforce my confidence and that of our board in how good of a deal this really is and how ready the team in Shift4 is to execute upon it. So we're going to talk a little bit more about our methodology today, our methodology to success, not just the Shift4 way, but our people and the tools we use to deliver. You're going to hear how we apply that formula to deliver in the future alongside strong 2025 guidance and a new midterm outlook that once again puts us above the pack in both growth and profitability targets. We are going to give you a sit on our hands case, which is what is the business going to look like over the next 3 years if we never did anything else, including doesn't take into account Global Blue. You'll get the pro forma case to include the recently announced Global Blue transaction, and then you're going to get what I call the likely case, which is just a continuation of what we've done over the past, with the goal of exiting our next 3-year outlook with $1 billion of run rate free cash flow. And you can count on all of this, and you can count on it because we kept our promise over the last 3 years, and we're going to do so again. And at the conclusion of this presentation, I'll return for probably just a couple brief remarks, but we'll mostly just dive right into Q&A. And with that, I turn the presentation over to Taylor Lauber, your president and soon-to-be CEO of Shift4.
So I have not heard from the new CEO yet. I've heard a bunch of stuff from Jared Isaacman. I watched his interview on the All In podcast. Very, very sharp, very, very hardworking. So I am very intrigued to hear from the new CEO, and just get a good assessment of kind of person he is, his work ethic, his vision for the company. Is he going to be able to continue to execute at the same rate that Jared Isaacman has been executing or has executed over the past 25 years, however old Shift4 is, about that time. So this is the kind of stuff you have to do if you want to become great retail investors. Spend the time, listen to these 4-hour, oh my gosh, it's so long, 4-hour investor days. But at this point, you almost, if you trust the management, you don't even have to build your own projections. You just listen to them. If they have, executed on what they've promised in the past in terms of guidance, then you can believe what they're guiding for the future again, or at least say that has a high likelihood of actually happening as they projected, because what they've projected in the past actually happened. And you can make investments with high levels of conviction that allow you to hold for the long term and make incredible gains that far outpace the rest of the market. So I'm excited to hear from this new CEO.
Thanks, Jared. So I thought what would be most important for you all today is actually not to hear from Jared and myself and Nancy, who you all interact with very regularly. So I'm going to keep my remarks brief. As Tom mentioned, I'll give some highlights to the Global Blue transaction later on in the day, but really want you to hear from the bench, because I think one thing we've tried to do is kind of bear the brunt of investor and analyst interactions so that the team can execute, and they execute excellently. But given the transition from Jared to myself, we thought it important for you to meet the team. But before we do that, I'll give you an overview of the businesses that we're winning in today. I say today because I'm thinking about the investor day we did 3 years ago in Las Vegas, and how there were kind of like 6 different avenues we knew we could go down for growth that I don't think we got much credit for at the time. And it's time to do a victory lap, because we've got really extensive capabilities in these emerging verticals for us, and it was done with like very little shareholder pain. And what I mean by that is we invested meaningfully but frugally inside of a set of capabilities around a set of customers that now give us a right to win all over the world, and shareholders saw margin expansion during that time. They really didn't bear the cost of this in the way that I think a skeptical shareholder might think about expanding into a new vertical or new geography.
Makes sense.
Perfect. So we'll talk about the restaurant vertical, the hospitality vertical, sports and entertainment specifically, and then what does this whole unified commerce concept mean, because it's blending all these elements together. What does it mean to be in restaurants? It means we have great software informed by many brands that we've acquired over the years. The majority of that technology talent still lives inside of Shift4. So when you think about the amount of capital that we deploy in R&D, it's also fueled by dozens and dozens of technologists that have come from 6 different restaurant brands that can incorporate everything they've learned and what their customers have demanded over decades into a single product that we deliver in a complete vertical stack. So we own every piece of the platform that our customers are interacting with, which is really, really helpful. It's also bundled with a library of integrations that give it a unique right to win inside of verticals that many of our competitors, even our best, can't necessarily say they have access to. So when you think about all of the restaurants in this hotel, for example, every other piece of software in the hotel is already integrated to us. This is a natural extension for us and our restaurant product. And then a distribution network that's really one of a kind. So whether it was a software brand that we acquired through an M&A transaction, or the organic build of our SkyTab brand, we've got the most unique combination of in-house direct sales and sales partnerships, I think, in the industry, and we'll highlight that on a later slide. And then obviously just a handful of great customers below, some of which are in the room, and we really thank you guys for the commitment we've been able to make together. Hospitality, this is a payment platform that's truly unrivaled. So we love to host events in an environment like this, because take one lap around, even just one floor of a casino resort, and you can imagine just how demanding our customers are and how varied the commerce experience is. And I don't think unless you're in an environment like this, you can really comprehend just how much software goes into the payment experience. Every software suite is integrated to Shift4 so that a consumer can basically take any journey through these revenue centers and get a common payment experience, and the merchant can rely on analytics and reconciliation and security that's uniform across all of those. What's incredibly interesting is that it's also a flywheel for our business, and what I mean by that is when we integrate with a property like this, or Wynn Casino Resorts, which is just next door, they bring us a library of integrations that they need help with too, a software suite here and there. And so every new customer kind of adds to that library, and the library becomes very self-sustaining. We do not have to call best-in-class hospitality companies and ask them to integrate their software. Our customers do it on our behalf, and when those companies want to sell their software inside of an environment like this, they know they have to call Shift4. So this is a platform that's very self-sustaining and creates tentacles into lots of different markets around the world, whether it's the retail shops, the salon spas, the golf courses, and the parking garages. Really, really unparalleled, it means we're generally the first, if not the only, phone call for operators like you see on the wall here behind me. Sports and entertainment, I use this as an example of kind of all of the best qualities of Shift4 coming into one environment. We were able to pursue an opportunity with the Raiders Stadium here in Las Vegas when it was being built. At the time, we didn't own any stadium software, and we had a library of integrations that I would say was kind of 50% compatible with the environment. Yet we walked through that stadium with that customer and said, we can solve this, and we can solve it in a variety of different ways. We can buy stadium software that we think has a truly differentiated right to win. We can combine it with our payments platform, and therefore deliver you a common experience across basically every way a team's going to collect revenue. So we've got examples on this page of the food and beverage and the suites where we deliver the software ourselves, and ticketing integrations and retail and parking. If you're seeing common threads between what we do for a hospitality operator and what we do for a food and beverage operator, it's not by accident. We're able to take these skill sets and apply them into entirely new markets. And this brought us further into theme parks. It also brought our #1 competitor in sports and entertainment to the table to sell us that business when they knew how much we were winning, and that we were going to end up winning a lot of those customers anyway. Again, all of this delivered under a single roof. When a stadium operator like the New York Yankees calls us, that's generally the last phone call they have to make, which is something we're exceptionally proud of. Lastly, unified commerce. If it's a vague and nondescript name, that's kind of by design. It's because
this keep happening. Dude, Google Chrome needs to fix its stuff, man.
Because a single integration for these customers needs to allow them to sell everywhere in the world, physical, card present, e-commerce, etc. It's every element of the commerce experience with a single integration, and we're basically enabling these customers all over the world. We offer, everything that you'd have to support in a really rigorous e-commerce environment, whether that's selling physical products all over the world, subscription billing, fraud management, security analytics, etc. And we do it, and Dave's going to highlight this in a minute, in a way that enables them to add countries very, very seamlessly. I point it out, and I make it a point of emphasis, and it will be a point of emphasis for the day, because again, I think this is something we're not getting much credit for today, because we've done it deliberately under the radar, but fueled with some of the best names in the industry. When you think about the customers at the bottom of this page fueling how this product gets designed and the geographies that we go into. So it's an incredibly exciting capability, and I'd ask that you guys really pay attention when we talk through those capabilities. How do we go to market, and how has it evolved? At the time of the IPO, we were 100% third-party distribution. This was generally partners installing restaurant technology, in some cases software partners in the hospitality space, bringing us to the table to talk to a casino resort.
This is exactly what I was mentioning earlier, where they are working with software vendors to sell their products. And this is exactly what I wanted to hear, that they are going direct to customers, and they're increasing the amount of direct to customers they're doing. This is exactly what I wanted to see. Those middlemen, they just take their fees, they, make the company's margins worse. And especially if you're a high cash flow company, like it sounds like Shift4 is, you put in the capital up front, you set up those systems to remove those middlemen, and then down the line it increases your margin, increases your cash flow, your profitability, everything like that.
Resort like we're in today. We've evolved that deliberately and meaningfully to give us, #1, sustained growth on higher and higher numbers, and also just much better unit economics. So in restaurants, roughly 1/3 of our distribution is direct, 2/3 partners. As we go around the world, this will continue to evolve. In hospitality, it's about half and half, where we're squaring off with the operator directly versus a software operator bringing us in because they know it's an easier solution when they bring us to the table. And then sports and entertainment and unified commerce, which is 100% direct. The punchline here, and it's what allows us to kind of invest in emerging capabilities without a lot of shareholder pain, as I say, is that the unit economics have evolved very meaningfully as we've diversified the business. So down at the bottom of the page here, you'll see our partner revenue share at the time of the IPO was about 21% of gross revenue less network fees, and today it's just shy of 12%. Meaningfully better unit economics for the shareholders, but also a much more direct relationship with the customer, and we can evolve it as we go around the world. This was the map at the time of the IPO. This is the map today, again with margin expansion the entire time. And what's most exciting is I think there's been debates about what's our potential inside the United States vis-a-vis the rest of the world. The rest of the world is a toehold, from my opinion, in terms of what we have from a customer base. There's some really interesting stats you'll see about our early success in Europe, and I think it'll help you understand why we are so emphatic about moving across the world as quickly as possible, because much of what we've been able to do in the United States has not yet been done in the rest of the world, and we can bring that expertise to these markets. So for now, we'll hang out on stage to be able to help facilitate the conversation, but I'd like to introduce you all to Dave Hoffman. He's going to go through an overview of the product organization, both philosophically, how we think about product design, organizationally, how do we kind of get as much done as we want to, and then lastly, what do these products actually look like and do? Thanks.
All right, hey everyone. I'm Hoffman, Chief Product Officer. I've been with the company a little over 5 years. I joined just before the pandemic started, just before IPO. So if you've been following Shift4 for a while, you know it's been a really crazy ride. It's seen a lot of growth, a lot of really, really interesting things happening within this organization. Before that, I've been a product leader my entire career. Worked across many of the same verticals and capabilities that we do with Shift4, working in hospitality, working in restaurants, venues, e-com, lots of payment experience and some analytics. So really trying to, coming into Shift4, understanding how Shift4 operates, and I got to tell you, experience from previous organizations to previous at Shift4, very, very different. You know, one of the things in a previous experience for me is about when you start getting to a certain level of scale, the company slows down, you start getting lethargic, right? You're going into a defensive mode. I promise you, we don't have that problem at Shift4, right? The type of leadership, the leadership that we have with these two guys, keep driving, keep pushing, keep focusing, keeps us moving at an incredible pace, and we're reinventing the company from a product perspective almost every quarter, right? With the amount of growth that we're seeing. I'm super excited to give you this product review. What we're going to do is kind of walk through 4 modules. We got some core value capabilities. We got some competitive differentiation, and I'll give you some roadmap, direction, strategic, kind of how we're thinking about each one of these verticals. And then, as Taylor said, a little bit of insider, how we do what we do. I think it's very important to kind of get a little idea of, like, philosophically what I call mindset. Having the right mindset, so important to making sure that we can drive in the right direction. Now, I'm really excited, as I said, to start this presentation and give it to you. And I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why I think we are incredibly well positioned. Some of these you've already heard, right? We are already #1 in sports and entertainment on a global basis. We're #1 in hospitality. We're #2 in restaurants, which, by the way, we're not happy about that, and we'll talk about that a little more in a few minutes, right? And we have this unified commerce rocket that is growing at an incredible pace, and I believe we have the smartest and best leadership on this initiative for this mission that you could possibly have. So we're super excited, super bullish, thinking about how we're going to grow this vertical and continue driving growth for overall Shift4 portfolio. Now, we have an amazing Shift4 product leadership team, and a couple of guys are in the room. You guys can stand. We got Frank Conway, sports and entertainment. We got Jay Shavitz, leading restaurants. We got Tim Goodwin, he's card president of hospitality, and Alex Wilson on crypto. All right, these are the guys that you want to commandeer in the hallway and breaks, right? We're going to go to a pretty high level of detail as we go through here. We won't have time to get into a lot, right, in 60 minutes with going through 4 products. As we go through, take your notes, get your questions answered, and we'll hook you up with the right guys to get anything you want to go. Do not leave this session or do not leave this day with questions on your mind. We love to engage. We love to make sure that you have a full understanding of what we're doing and how we're doing it. And the last thing I'd say as a sort of an opening, just to kind of get your heads around this from my perspective, this team of leadership, exceptional executive team, right? Jared, Taylor. And what I think is so amazing, and what you won't see unless you work on the inside, strategic alignment across every office of the C-suite. There's no question, right? We're all on the same page. We're all thinking about, we're using the same language. But more importantly, no ego. We simply want to win. And this team is willing to do outsized, crazy things to make it happen. So for me coming into this organization, that's why I'm here. It's the best assignment by far. I'm having a time of my life. As we go through today, I get a little animated. I love this stuff. I love what we do. And this organization just adds fuel to the fire because we're so ambitious to be able to go out and capture the amazing trajectory and mission goals that we have. All right, now, we'll get into it, but before we start, I wanted to briefly talk through our team alignment, right? Because in any software development shop, the people are the most important asset. And the ways of working are critical to the success. So at Shift4, we're organized by a series of groups. We've got the four groups here, 3 groups on top of a shared service of payments. As you know, we don't come to market with any product without integrated payment offerings. But within each group, if you were to look carefully, you're going to see a large number of small, empowered teams. Right? We like to have small teams because that helps us to operate very, very quickly, and empowered because it drives productivity and efficiency. Now, this is also really important in how we align because, as an acquisitive organization, we're highly optimized for M&A. We have small teams, they're empowered, and we can go and acquire an entity. We can bring in new talent very, very quickly. We can either create new small scrappy teams, or we can add those resources to existing teams, and we're off and running. It's an amazing flywheel in terms of productivity within a development organization as well. New talent adding to the mission almost immediately upon acquisition. Now, very recently, we've grown very, very quickly. We now have over 1,000 resources spanning multiple continents. And this structure is important for 2 key reasons. Number one, round-the-clock productivity. There is literally somebody driving the mission forward every minute of every day. And second, accelerating market adoption. You're going to hear a lot about global expansions today. And when we think about going into all these exotic countries or just standard countries, having resources localized that understand how that market works, right? The business nuances of all the different markets, language, tax, and so forth. Think of my team across 1,000 people, like 25 different languages are spoken. It's an amazing collection of individuals, all professionally, all motivated, and it gives us an incredible confidence as we push forward because we have these localized resources that we can attack. So that we have a number of.
So learning about things like the team and where they're, having local knowledge for the target market that they're working for might seem like that's useless information for the investor. It's like, okay, why do I care how the teams are set up? I want to care about revenue. I want to care about earnings. Learning about this stuff is so important because ultimately the quality of the revenue is a reflection of the quality of the company, and the company is just the sum of its culture, employees, those kinds of things. So if a company has an excellent culture, excellent employees, with fantastic organizational structure, those types of things are going to result in exceptional results for the shareholders. So, and once you start to understand like company organization and what kind of results those type of companies get, you can start to understand what companies are great, and more importantly, when a company is absolutely crap. Because again, remember, it's far more important to avoid losers than it is to just pick a winner. The picking losers is going to completely decimate your returns. We want to avoid losers at all costs, and understanding what a good company structure looks like is super important. So it sounds like they have an excellent company structure, which is what we'd love to hear as a shareholder.
Organizational philosophies. Now, I won't belabor the points here. No time to go through them all. I think I just want to boil it down to maybe two or three. Number one, from an overall organization structure, from a product leadership perspective, we want to work with the best merchants possible. We're seeking out strategic merchants that can help us understand exactly where we need to go, the best of the best, and we want them to give us very, very complex problems. We want to solve those complex problems. And when we do that, it's a flywheel to bring those exceedingly great capabilities to every customer in the product portfolio. Second, ownership and accountability, right? everything boils down to ownership and accountability. We want to empower teams. We want to give them direct ownership. We want to hold them accountable for results. And if you're setting up your initiatives with very, very clear objectives, right, and then you're allowing people to measure with very good KPIs, then you can let them run free. It unleashes creativity. It unleashes a lot of professional know-how. We don't have to babysit and monitor every single small team. It's on autopilot to some degree because they are operating within a very clear objective, and the mission is stated with very clear goals. So again, M&A dropping in, it becomes almost like nothing to get additional teams running at a very, very fast pace. So these philosophies are applied across all the different groups. We'll call out a couple of examples as we go, right? Because I think it's very important, again, from a mindset perspective, not only what we're doing, how we're doing it, and why we're doing it. Now, what you see here on the screen is the order in which we're going to go through. We'll start with SkyTab, do a little bit of a deep dive here. Let's roll.
Restaurants depend on excellent service to keep customers coming back. So that's exactly what we gave them. SkyTab from Shift4 supercharges restaurants and bars with the latest point of sale, mobile, and contactless technology. SkyTab is more than just a POS system. It's an all-in-one restaurant platform that keeps things running smoothly, from front of house to back of house and everything in between. With Shift4, restaurants can streamline operations and deliver a 5-star experience that keeps customers coming back again and again. Some of the biggest names in food and beverage already trust us to get the job done. Hungry for more? Here's a taste of what our customers are saying.
Without SkyTab, we wouldn't be as successful as we are, where the integration operates in the same fashion every single day of the week.
You have to have great partners, otherwise you'll be behind the 8 ball.
Them being a leader in the industry in payment and POS, those are the 2 key factors I look into to make my life easier and making our venues grow.
We have the winning recipe of cutting-edge technology and best-in-class service that's skyrocketing our presence across the U.S. and setting us up for continued success in the UK, Europe, and beyond. Let's face it, it's never easy running a restaurant. But with Shift4, it's pretty darn close.
Yeah, it makes so much more sense now why they've been talking so much about customer diversification. It sounds like they started with restaurants and hospitality. The issue with the restaurant industry is there's a very, very high fail rate for restaurants. So a lot of restaurants that start fail within the first couple of years of opening. So as a business, it's not good to have, super high customer turn. You don't want your customers going out of business if you're a B2B business like Shift4. So them diversifying away from just restaurants to sports arenas, all that kind of other stuff is super, super important to them for, stability of revenue. You can be more confident that a casino is going to stay in business than necessarily a restaurant. And then it's getting, you can partner with so many restaurants with a software B2B business payments company that you do get some diversification just by having a ton of restaurant customers. So yeah, I'm really liking this business model as I'm continuing to understand it better and better.
So in the recent quarters, SkyTab has been winning a lot. Right, we're regularly adding tens of thousands of merchants to the product, and we can attribute this to a number of key values. Again, we'll have time to go through, but just a couple of things to frame it. Right, the first is an all-in-one platform. All-in-one platform. What this means: a single product delivered at incredible value. And I think a great example of this would be gift and loyalty. Gift and loyalty capabilities within the SkyTab product. If a merchant were to contract with any other provider for proportionate capabilities, it would be one of the most expensive software packages they have in their entire organization. Bringing it into SkyTab and making it available for every merchant, allowing it to be able to easily enabled, easily to use, and driving key value, all within the context of an all-in-one platform, is one of the most important key values that we're driving. The second is vertically integrated. Now let's go down to the foundation of our products, right? Let's think about payments. We own the payments platform, the hardware deployment, we own the terminal software, we own the encryption, right? All of that in our control. So not only is it easy, essentially much easier for us to package and deploy, but we can take out parts, we can own it, we can take out the parts and we can streamline it all the way through from beginning to end. Now, as we think about this, it's not just this area. We want to own as much of the capabilities as possible. In any case where we have the opportunity to partner with a third party or build it ourselves, we'll always build it ourselves. And we'll always bet on ourselves because we want to be able to control the experience, take out the parts, and deliver simplicity. Now, the third area, the deepest experience in the industry by far. Not even close. And how this happens, over the course of the last number of years, we've been acquiring a lot of large brands. As we bring those resources into the team, we now have a deep bench of experts, deep brand experience, right? So people from Micros, from Posi, from RM, from Future, from Revel, a dedicated focus on SkyTab. Now, it's important because as they were doing building their businesses prior to joining us, RM, Future, Posi, and so forth, they made mistakes. Right? They delivered success. We take advantage of all of those capabilities, all of that thinking, all of that know-how. We won't repeat those mistakes. And anything that was a clear win, we follow that playbook. So a leveraging experience, and it's a very clear accelerator for how we're moving forward. Latest mobile and enterprise management we'll talk about in the roadmap. Very, very good examples of how this operates within our portfolio, within our product teams. And then a long list of features that we can talk through. Right, number one on this view would be SkyTab being fully mobile optimized. Mobile optimized for us is about every type of transaction or every type of use case, right? Transactions, operations, reporting. We're reaching every service point. And the way that we've approached the product, it actually unlocks some really interesting use cases. Right? Imagine a delivery driver at your front door taking a real live online payment transaction on a mobile device via 4G. And we envision a completely mobilized restaurant where fixed terminals are becoming the thing of the past. We're not there yet, but if that's the way the direction of the industry were to follow, then we would be fully well positioned to be able to take that on, especially with the investments we're making on the roadmap that we'll get to here in a moment. The next area is merchant experience. And this in SkyTab surfaces an application we call Launch Control. And Launch Control started with a really clear understanding to press on two bookends: customer affinity and retention, right? Think about some of the complexities around launching a point of sale. Lots of different things. Employees want to be able to, menus, right? All the complexities there. You have to get it all configured. And in many cases, that is a massive attrition point because it becomes so complex. So we designed Launch Control to simplify the process, allow menus to be uploaded, inserted. We're using AI to convert. Once you're in the Launch Control application, you're able to click point, takes you through the entire experience in just a couple of hours, couple of days maximum, and get you up and running. We call it time to value of the product. That's one. Second, feature adoption. So from an ongoing, once you're launched, we are constantly bringing new features to market. If you're a merchant and you're using SkyTab, how do you know when the next great thing's available? And from a philosophical perspective, we firmly believe that if we can continue bringing great utility, great capabilities additional to that particular merchant, they will be retained as a Shift4 merchant forever, right? Why wouldn't they? We're continually adding. Now, the key is make sure they understand it, see it, adopt it, and use it. So it's not just turn it on, it's identify it, turn it on, and have an education around it as well. So it's a complete comprehensive approach. Proactive notifications and alerts. And this is a number of different ways you can think about this, but let's say you get a chargeback, right? You want to know there's a chargeback because it's actionable. You want to go do something. So you get the alert, you click through, you end up in another application to be able to manage that chargeback. And then Taylor and Jared have really challenged us to eliminate all support calls, right? Very, very ambitious goal. But how would you go about doing that? So you're going to hear today about an application or an initiative called Mission Control. And we have a partnership with product, operations, and Mission Control to collect insights on service calls and be able to identify and pinpoint the most frequent, and we are proactively attacking those. So as we go forward, we proactively attack one by one. We're knocking them down, and before you know it, no calls. So again, very, very ambitious approach, but we believe very firmly in making it stable, easy to use the platform, and we're building all of this merchant experience capabilities to make sure that we are driving on, again, affinity, retention, and removing as much friction in the process as possible. Now, right out this door, many of you have already seen, there's an amazing demo room. Please go have a look. A lot of what we're talking about here, too many features on the list to kind of go through. We'll demo all of them. Anything you want to learn, we got you covered. Now let me come back to this competitive perspective, and I think you've heard Jared talk about it a little bit. So, we believe there are two modern card 2 modern cloud platforms that are actively investing and deploying at scale across the world. Toast is a significant competitor, but it's not like they've done anything that like makes the restaurant food taste better. Right? So if they are able to concentrate all of their resources into a single product for more than a decade, where in the same time frame, we were building a product and also bringing on acquisitions, managing those acquisitions. And that was about 3 years ago that we consolidated our strategy, and now in that time frame, if you were to look at the SkyTab trajectory, you would see that that was the bend in the curve. So we simply just believe it's a matter of time, it's a matter of focus, and we are super excited, super ambitious on the path forward to be able to compete on a global basis. Now, a few words on the roadmap. The point number 1 here, I think the localization and really just expanding into international markets. You're going to see this on every roadmap. Really important for us, right? We take every one of our products that we're building, we'll take it to a global stage. Now, in the area of SkyTab, this is not e-commerce, right? So there are certain things you have to do. There's fiscal, there's language, there's tax capabilities. Again, going back to the global disbursement of our product team, this is where that becomes a very, very clear advantage. Second, enterprise management. So we are actively building, and we will launch soon, a new enterprise management capability into SkyTab that's informed by the absolute best brands. So look at the product portfolio that we currently have being informed by things like Blooming Brands, Cheesecake Factory, bringing all those capabilities to SkyTab, but also utilizing the talent that built them in the first place. They know where the bodies are buried. They know where the things worked, what didn't work. So we're not trying to blaze new trails. We are simply following the playbook, matching feature functionality that's newest proven in the market, and putting it in the product and as fast as we possibly can. The next area is mobile. We're currently working on our 3rd generation mobile platform. In fact, this evening, if you come to the dinner, you're going to have a first-hand look at this. It's a unified client across all of our different service points. So if it's a fixed terminal, a mobile terminal, or whatever terminal, it's all running the same standard code base. And that's important from an efficiency perspective. You build one feature, you deploy it everywhere. Best-in-class capabilities, and it has multiple different configurations. So what you'll see tonight is what's called tableside, taking orders at the guest table. There's other ones that we call solo. Think a food truck. Right? More simplified, easy operations. There's a complete point of sale in your hand, running everything, very economical, right? Amazing value proposition to put that into a small, simple business. And then even like payment optimization. If you go to Europe, right, you never give anybody your credit card. The payment terminal comes and is presented to you. That's a certain configuration within the platform as well. So one application unified across all the different service points, and then turning into various form factors depending on the business cases for deployment.
I'm going to go use the restroom. I'll be right back. All right, we're gonna keep going here. Probably live stream more of this deep dive for like another 45 minutes, and then we'll end the live stream for today. We'll come back, finish the rest of this investor day tomorrow, keep moving along this stock deep dive, watch the next earnings call, go to macro trends, look at revenue, gross profit, that kind of stuff. We'll continue to write out the rest of this spreadsheet, fill that out for Shift4. Look at the TAM, competitors, write up the management team, and then we'll start modeling out growth and what we expect, the ROI to be for this company. Hopefully we'll be able to get through all that tomorrow. But yeah, I only got 45 more minutes to today, and then we'll continue doing our deep dive tomorrow. So this is just part 1 of our Shift4 payments deep dive, and this is our new series, which is going to be a daily stock deep dive. And I'm going to try to get through all of these companies on the list. So there's a lot of them here that we have not done yet, a couple that we have done, and I probably need to re-go through MU, re-look at my, forecasting for SMCI. Because I don't think these 20 years I think might be a bit too low for these companies, but we'll have to look at that a bit more. But yeah, we'll continue with this investor day. We're learning so much. This is the type of information as an investor you need to be learning to make educated investments.
Optimization and simplification. And then we have just a whole bunch of merchant-focused platform expansions. This is one of our key ways of working in the product group, partnering up with very good merchants, finding out what's missing in their business, finding out what their pain points are, and bringing new safe capabilities to the market, starting with those, but then the advantages to every single merchant in the portfolio. So things like invoicing, things like tip distributions. These aren't things that we think are most important. These things are validated by strategic merchants that we are working with. So a lot of reasons why we feel very strong about SkyTab. Thinking about the international expansions, taking these capabilities, expanding them, it is a very, very important that we stay focused, but the path set forward is incredibly well defined. Jared mentioned in his remarks bringing crypto to market. So our crypto journey started 3 years ago with a strategic merchant. They were expanding into areas where Visa and MasterCard weren't the primary payment methods, but now we're bringing them into the mainstream products, starting with SkyTab. We're seeing international demand already, and in the U.S., it's beginning to show as well. In Vegas is an interesting use case, right? You go to one of the fancy nightclubs, and maybe you've got a group of friends that have some bottle service. End of the night, the bill's $5,000, right? Probably very common in the Vegas market. That transaction can happen. You have a mobile device presented to that particular client, and they're able to transact on crypto. And the most important thing about that transaction is it's not that the merchant has to touch crypto at all. Can go from a crypto transaction on a mobile device all the way through settlement of US dollars, and everything flows straight through. Now, if the merchant doesn't want to do that and they actually want to settle in crypto or settle in stablecoin, those will be options available as well. And then the last area, just to mention, the pace of technology innovation is not slowing down. And we've got a lot of individuals focusing on strategic initiatives like enterprise, strategic initiatives like our mobile devices. We have a number of resources that really are focused on engaging with merchants, understanding pain points, trying to find very difficult problems to solve. And then we have a very small set, not very small, but a small investment off to the side that's all about innovation, right? Creativity, experimenting, new ideas. And it's really important because it becomes a think tank, and what we discover in this small group can inform what we do across the board. A couple of examples of just some things that we're working on at the moment, could become products, may not. Virtual reality kiosk, right? Imagine a kiosk that it talks to you, interacts with you, can answer your questions. You ask for recommendations, gives you recommendations. We have a prototype of this available. I believe we actually have it here. We can give you a demo. And another one would be AI health metrics. Imagine, wearables like Whoop do a really good job of being able to say, today you were 7. And they give you, if you do these 3 things tomorrow, you'll go to an 8. Apply that same thinking, the same mindset to hospitality, especially to SMB, small business owners that need all the help they can get. They are operating with single-digit profit margins. The rate of going out of business is incredibly high in that market. What if you could give them a health metric, and that health metric tells them every single day where they're tracking, and then gives them 3 things to do? And if they follow the script, they continue to get better, smarter, more profitable, right? These are the types of technologies that we want to be able to invest in. They make an amazing difference in the success of our individual small merchants, and then we're mutually aligned, right? We want to retain them. We want to help them grow. We're mutually motivated to do that. These are the types of technologies and approaches that will get us there. As I said, lots of demo capabilities across the way. Jay Shavitz is here, head of SkyTab. Please engage. Let's have some discussions. We're happy to show you anything. Again, we love this stuff, and we'd like to give you as much knowledge as you want to take.
When it comes to complex payments environments, Shift4 handles them with ease. Whether it's a mega resort, a sprawling golf course, or a world-class casino, we deliver a flawless commerce experience both for the guest and the business. With over 500 software integrations, we can connect every touch point across the property. From booking online and checking in, to playing 18 holes in the morning, enjoying a post-round massage at the spa, and a night out with friends, Shift4's all-in-one payment solution makes it all seamless. And now, we're bringing these capabilities across the globe, gathering insights to empower businesses with centralized business intelligence, and delivering solutions that make payments simpler and stress-free. But don't take my word for it.
We've got about 7,000 full-time year-round employees, and then at peak season, we quadruple in size. We go from about 7,000 to 28,000 people on an annualized basis across 19 properties, across hospitality, food and beverage, lodging, lift operations, and a whole bunch of other businesses that we have. There's no doubt that the willingness of the team at Shift4 to really understand our unique needs was certainly a core decision-making factor as we looked at who we were going to kind of go all in with across our portfolio.
We're number one because we give hotels and resorts the same VIP treatment they give to their guests. Yes, Shift4 is the leading payment platform for thousands of hotel and resort properties around the world. But you won't find us lounging by the pool or relaxing at the spa. We're hard at work, continuing to shift forward to deliver a 5-star commerce experience.
Let me summarize the hospitality vertical simply as I can. Embracing complexity, removing operational friction. That's what we do. So let's think about the Fontainebleau, right? This casino where we're sitting. A typical experience about how somebody would engage, a guest would engage with this property. Probably starts with an online reservation, right? Go on some website, make a booking. They put some credit card information in there. You come in, you go to the hotel front desk. There's a property management system there. They're taking a credit card, we'll file, they're putting a deposit. Then throughout your stay, you're going to the restaurants, you're going to the spa, you're going to the retail, maybe you have the opportunity to go sit at the poolside. Every one of those we call points of interaction are fully integrated to the Shift4 rails. Deeply integrated across every transaction, whether it's in person or online. Now, if we go just south here to Wynn Casino and just look at just the payment stack alone, forget about all the other different service points, right? Where Wynn was relying on a number of different providers, Freedom Pay, Elevon, Stripe, Chase, to facilitate what we do in an online transaction environment, or sorry, a casino environment. Moving from all of those providers to Shift4, they land at Shift4. It's an amazing value proposition, right? The complexity aspect of it is what we absorb. And again, I mentioned earlier, we love complexity. We like to work with the most difficult, challenging merchants on the planet. We embrace complexity. We look after all of the different challenges. We bring those capabilities into a portfolio, and then we allow any merchant that wants to utilize those identical capabilities to grow with us. Right? It's a very, very powerful flywheel. 550 integrations available today, but every time we engage, we get better, we get more. And that could be an expansion of an existing integration, or it could be a completely new integration. So we move from 550 plus, right? New capabilities because one partner had us doing some new things, or we end up with 560. And again, every other merchant forward going is going to take advantage of all those capabilities. But it doesn't stop just there, right? So if you think about value-added services, when you apply loyalty, gift cards into a hotel hospitality environment, exceeding value. And we talked about that as a specific example of how fully integrated value-added capabilities, unifying the guest experience and being able to offer that at every point of interaction across the entire estate. And then where the value really comes through, right, where the complexity to simplicity value really comes through is when you look at the consolidated activity in an operational and financial portal. It's a product we call LBM, Comprehensive Business Management, Lighthouse Business Manager. Consolidated transactions, settlement, reporting, insights, and CRM. Bringing it all together, when you place this application with all the different integrations into a hotel, a casino, a large venue, it immediately becomes the center of all their activities. It's utilized by all different service points in this hotel: night audit, finance, accounting, food and beverage operations, poolside operations, retail operations. They're all in the portal, and every single thing that's happening is coming into the portal to allow them full access. Whether it's issuing a refund, looking at transactions, understanding insights, seeing where sales are increasing, where sales are decreasing, completely at their disposal. Now, this is really important. So we prepared a little demo. I was going to give you a live demo. Want to make sure that we don't have any technical challenges, so we just did a little bit of a canned demo. Take you through it. Maybe I'll try to annotate it a little bit as we go. So available on any device. We're going to take first at a sales, look at transactions. We're looking at all kinds of different search criteria. Every transaction comes into a single portal. Different transactions type. Now we'll drive into an individual transaction. Not just transaction, but all related transaction for that particular guest. Doing a refund, adjustment within the portal. Chargeback, get an alert, jump in, do a chargeback, and not only the chargeback, but be able to respond with all the different details that are necessary to appropriately run a chargeback. Full selection of reports, report subscriptions, individuals that just want to have them received to their email box, and the full section of capabilities on a schedule and a distribution type. Available by individual property, revenue centers, right? Full consolidated view. And what's not shown here is from a user perspective, being able to solidify users to, I'm a food and beverage worker in one particular revenue center. I am night audit across the entire property or multiple properties. So all of that feature functionality is built in. Shift4 for many years has been the gold standard for this type of application. This is our third generation business management portal, and it addresses, as I said, every use case that is necessary and becomes an indispensable tool as it's placed in an operation. So it brings all the value that we bring, right? The 550 integrations, all the extra value-added services you can drop in, and then wrapped up in this consolidated portal, it's a value proposition like none else. The reason why we say we're number one in the world in hospitality. Now we'll look just briefly at some roadmap. Accelerated global expansion. Again, no surprise there, right? What we're doing now. We are seeing some, kind of unique things here. Buy now, pay later. They've been very popular in the retail space. Is now becoming more and more popular within hospitality. We'll be bringing that to market. Pay by link, making it simple, easy to get a payment link to a guest to be able to click through, pay without any friction. And again, as these capabilities are added, we're able to deploy them one time, use them everywhere. Dynamic currency conversion, ability to pay in your home currency. Currently working on this. It'll be launched in Europe, US, and Canada very shortly. And then we've got some really interesting stuff that we're working on. Hospitality, loyalty, and insights. Loyalty, right? Gift card coming as a pair, but being able to bring think about all the data that we talked about, right? If you were to overlay loyalty into all the different service points around a casino, which you could actually capture, right? It becomes the definitive source of transactional data identified to a single user. And with that, if you were able to apply some AI capabilities to be able to provide certain insights, what are the types of loyalty programs that actually move the needle? What are the ones that are a waste of time, right? Be able to not have somebody just go into a dashboard and understand this, tell them, make it super easy. Say, we see this is happening, stop doing it, right? And if they follow the script, you would expect them to be better, faster, more knowledgeable operators. And then the last area is device management. Sounds very boring, but it's actually really interesting as you kind of follow the story, right? Device management, if you are putting all kinds of different devices, right, payment devices in the market, device management for us, terminal management system, will be able to manage all the different vendors, all into a single platform. So here, a single console managing every device terminal in the entire estate. The roadmap aspect is to be able to allow third-party vendors to also go into a marketplace, right? Simply as we do the 550 integration, it becomes a new type of integration into a marketplace that allows those vendors to deploy to our terminals, and we facilitate it. So again, it's just another aspect of the flywheel. As you get these valuable partnerships and you get more and more terminal software, the terminal becomes a strategic lens into every consumer. right? What can we sell? What can we upsell? What can we cross-sell? How do you leverage this as a strategic component? This will give you the technologies and unleash that innovation. We're very excited about this, and we think that there's a amazing road ahead of capabilities in the marketplace for merchants or customers like Fontainebleau Casino.
In sports, it's a race against the clock to win the game. The same is true for the in-stadium payments experience on game day. That's where Shift4 is unbeatable. Shift4 has revolutionized payment processing in the world of sports and entertainment, scoring big with SkyTab Venue, our seamless commerce solution that covers the entire venue, including next-gen POS, mobile ordering, and loyalty. As the leader in venue commerce, we deliver a comprehensive end-to-end solution that connects all revenue streams: concessions, suites, ticketing, retail, parking, and more. Shift4 is already a crowd favorite in stadiums and arenas around the world, spanning every major sports league. And with every new win, our popularity grows. From stadiums and arenas to theme parks, zoos, and other entertainment venues, and expanding to additional revenue centers within our existing venues. Fans love us because we get them back to the action quicker. Our customers love us because, well, we'll let them tell you why.
We've embraced Shift4 across the whole business. So we have it in our bars, we have it in our kiosks around the stadiums. We can also get the data to understand customers' behavior and therefore improve the service in the future.
We were looking for a partner in the payment process field that would help us not only create a first-class venue, but also take us into the future. Since the opening, we've had over 4.2 million transactions that have taken place at the stadium. We were voted by the NFL Fan Survey the #1 stadium in the world.
Shift4 is the reigning MVP for complex payment solutions in sports and entertainment. But we're not stopping there. We continue to push ourselves to be better, faster, and smarter than our competition. Working as one team with one shared goal: to deliver the best commerce experience on earth. Now, that's something to cheer about.
Yeah, this company offers so many products.
This is an amazing story. If you have a favorite club, right, football team, baseball team, whatever, spend any time in the venue, being able to consider all the different possibilities and the options that SkyTab Venue, and by the way, as we go through, the product was Venue Next. We recently rebranded as SkyTab Venue. I'm an idiot, can't keep them straight, so if I say one, they mean the same, just so we don't get confused. SkyTab Venue, incredible capabilities, and what it unleashes at a stadium, which is looking at an average stadium, the size and scope of a pro venue is just mind-boggling. How much capabilities are now, the different service types, right? You can certainly go stand in line for an overpriced bad hot dog, but you can also make a reservation and go to have a full-service meal in one of the most amazing restaurants that you've ever visited, right? And everything in between. And every venue is unique, right? Every operator is thinking about all the different things they could be doing to enhance the fan experience, and we're right there alongside them, trying to keep pace and continuing to press the envelope to deliver every piece of feature functionality they want to deliver their vision. Now, SkyTab Venue is the only integrated solution available with capabilities covering the entire fan experience. And I want to go through it because this is really important. There's a lot of nuances in the fan experience. So let me show you why. We're going to start, we're going to look at two different capabilities, two different venues, both with equally complex and identical requirements. We're going to start with this one, right? Little gloomy, sad venue that hasn't yet made the switch over to SkyTab Venue, right? If you were to go in and view all the things they're utilizing, Micros, Freedom Pay, Tap Into Mobile, Spoonful Suites, Fortress Loyalty, and likely Chase for ticketing, right? All those different technologies that are necessary to do the fan experience and comparative to any other of venue. Now think about that, right? Separate relationships, individual costs and licenses. You got integration headaches, no centralized management consoles. Every system is using its own console. Scattered data and reporting. You got so many throats to choke. When something goes wrong, who are you going to call? Right? Security and compliance, nightmare. That changes over and over again every season. Let's compare this and contrast this to, again, identical capabilities, identical requirements. We move to the SkyTab Venue. SkyTab Venue runs SkyTab Venue. It's amazing how much parts are taking out in the approach that we've been able to build. Streamline operations, streamline relationships, and most importantly, as you look at, it's not just the streamline, taking out the parts. Go through the experience, and it's a fully unified fan experience. No watered down capabilities, it's best-in-class capabilities across every service point. Let me walk you through them to show. So first off, just take a look at point of sale. Right, typical point of sale, you're going to have quick serve concessions, you're going to have self-service kiosks, full-service clubs, full-service restaurants, in-seat hawking, catered suites. Each one of these is a different form factor, a different menu, a different screen flow. All of them through a unified client capable within the platform solution. And all transactions across all these different service styles are being rolled into an actionable real-time BI portal. I'll move to our mobile solutions. Right? If we are looking at the overall mobile, you're going to have order ahead and pickup, you're going to have scan and go, you're going to have in-seat delivery. Then next, right, the product that was acquired was started by the 49ers. And this capability, right, how we think about mobile, was the fulfillment of the 49ers building the platform from the beginning, their Bay Area vision, right? The best technologists in the world, envisioning the best fan experience possible. We're envisioning this. It's now available through SkyTab Venue to any stadium that wants to engage. When you think about the way that mobile's deployed, empowering fans to control their own experience. So again, I go back, if you have a favorite club, if you're going to the game on Sunday, right, imagine you being able to drive anything you want. You can go stand in line if you like, but you can also order on your phone and have somebody bring it to you. You can go scan and go and expedite the service types, right? All of that available to you on your phone in a SkyTab Venue. And then from an operator perspective, think about the hardware and labor savings, right? You can eliminate so many parts from their side as well, simply because we're relying on technology that's already in your pocket to drive the experience. Retail, we partner with some of the best retail partnerships in the industry. This includes traditional point-of-sale retail, right? And in fact, we are the exclusive payments provider for Fanatics Team Store. But then also, emergence of autonomous, right? Just walk out. I'm sure you've seen this at airports, you're seeing it in stadiums, where you tap, you come into the venue, to the retail location, whatever you want in your hand, you walk out, magic happens. Right, we partnered with Amazon Just Walk Out, and in fact, we're the only mobile wallet that's integrated with that solution platform. So it's the same flywheel within this vertical that we've talked about in the other verticals. All the capabilities that we've done here, everything that we've done from a retail perspective, all the integrations, everything that we build for one stadium is available to all stadiums. We just keep getting better every single shot on goal. And this is the reason why we seek out the most challenging merchants and the most challenging business cases to solve for, because every time we solve them, everybody gets to take advantage of them, and it creates that much more of a moat in the competitive landscape. Right? And then loyalty, this is the linchpin, right? This is really what brings it all together. So critically important to us. It's the wrapper around the entire fan experience, and I'll tell you why. Teams rely on their ticketing platform, right? They're selling season tickets, they're selling single game tickets. They're relying on the ticketing platform as their CRM. We're sitting over here interacting with them, and they want to be able to drive value in packaging, right? So a season ticket holder will get, some package A or discounts or whatever types of incentives they want to package through. Maybe a multi-game or a VIP gets an entirely different set of packages, different benefits. All the reward levels that we have in the platform, whether it's virtuals, currency, discounts, cashback awards, all gets assigned to different levels. Then the fans come in, mobile device, they're utilizing just what they would usually do, right? They're buying retail, they're buying hot dogs, they're doing in-seat delivering, and all that's coming to life. Cashback's happening, points are being rewarded. It's so cool. Now, I want to make sure that this comes very loud and clear, so we have a little video that we want to show you for a little demo.
This is such a boring demo. Oh my goodness, they did not animate this one.
See the annotations coming through. Magic money, virtual currency, push notifications, right? Working off of this is the fan mobile device. Everything driven from this. This is an example where it goes outside the stadium, right, into an entertainment district. Not just what we're doing within the four walls of a stadium, but in an entertainment district, what can we do for push notifications, partners, and rewards and loyalty to the entire area, that where stadiums are located. Incredibly powerful, and again, the linchpin that brings all the different capabilities together. It's what unlocks the ticketing relationships that we have, and it makes the fan experience so much more valuable because it all flows straight through, beginning at the ticketing CRM. All right, roadmap here. Again, top item is a top item. Right?
I'm going to stop it here, guys. The stream, we've been going for almost 2 hours already. I'm just going to recap what we learned so far. I've been taking notes this whole time. So we listened to that Q4 earnings call, and then we've listened to the first hour or so of the investor day. I went over the stock deep dive process. We're currently in that second step of this deep dive, which is step 13 in the whole process, which is the investor day. We already did one of the earnings calls, but we're going to continue going through this process tomorrow. So this is part 1 of the Shift4 deep dive, and this is going to be part of our series stock daily deep dive that I'm going to be doing. So, but yeah, we're going to just go over my notes from this. So, yeah, founder Jared Eisman is leaving, which is obviously a bummer, and I still need to learn more about the new founder. They had 49% year-over-year payment volume. They want to take first place in point of sale payments, and that sounds like that's just for restaurants. It seems like they're number 1 in stadiums already, hospitality, those kind of things. They're expanding internationally a ton. Let's see. The earnings call wasn't quite as interesting as the investor day to me. But yeah, so they IPO'd in 2021, it sounds like they were saying. And since then, they expanded from the U.S. to like 30 countries. So they're expanding very, very quickly, which was definitely what we like to hear. I want to invest in companies that are growing quickly. Even though Jared Isaacman is leaving, he's very aligned with shareholders as he's the largest shareholder himself. They grew at about a 50% CAGR for the last 3 years since IPO. They're not exactly 50%. Each one of these things were somewhere from 30 to 60%. But growing about 50% across revenue, free cash flow, adjusted EBITDA, that kind of stuff. So they have a couple different products, one of them being Unified Commerce, which is like an e-commerce platform, which is really diversifying their customer base, which is super, super important. As I mentioned earlier, restaurants have a very high failure rate. So having more customers beyond just restaurants is super, super important for Shift4's business's stability. So their e-commerce offering is helping them diversify very, very well. They have really good team structures with a flat hierarchy. So managers are very much in contact with employees, which means, fast turnaround. These companies that build more and more and more layers of management become incredibly inefficient, incredibly bureaucratic, and this just doesn't make for great companies. So I wasn't sure if the 1.4 trillion in payments that they processed, they were talking about if that's an annual run rate or if that's through the whole history of the company, but still an incredible figure. And this other fact was they've done double-digit growth since company conception. So that's also just incredible to see. Companies something like 25 years old. So, but they've only been public for the last sounds like 4 years or so. It sounds like they have limited competition. There's not a lot of other competitors that offer kind of what they're offering, which is great. We love to hear that. Not only do they have limited competition, but out of the competition they do have, it sounds like Shift4 is the leader in a lot of their, markets that they're servicing. So really good to hear. They have tons of winning verticals today, and they're expanding into even more verticals. So those are verticals they're winning is restaurants, which they're the number 2 provider. I'm definitely going to do some more research on their competitor tomorrow when we continue the Shift4 deep dive. Want to know who is the number 1, and then kind of do some product comparison, see what customers of the other provider is saying, what customers of Shift4 are saying in terms of the product, which one they like better, see if Shift4 does actually have a competitive advantage here and how likely it is that they actually take the #1 spot for restaurants. But it sounds like they're the #1 for hospitality and sports and entertainment, which is great. So and they have great software, and they have tons of data and engineers building their product, and Shift4 keeps acquiring new companies to expand their software offerings and enter new markets, which is very, very aggressive and what we like.
NG verticals today.
Keep accidentally doing my voice to voice add-on, so my bad. This is really important. So we wanted to learn what their flywheel is. Good companies have great flywheels. And so we learned about Shift4's flywheel, which is as they add new customers require new software integrations. Shift4 adds those integrations, which makes their product, a more robust offering. It works with more and more customers' software that they already have in their enterprises, so it makes it much easier to onboard Shift4 because Shift4 already works with everything else those companies are using. So as they add new customers that require new software integrations, Shift4 grows their software integration offerings, which allows them to become more competitive and get more customers. So this is a nice growth flywheel that Shift4 has. We like to see that and to understand that. They're going to continue to take on new verticals and then solve any customer needs in terms of payments. Already talked about the unified commerce platform. Oh yes, this was really, really important. So they use software vendors, which is not really what we love to see when we're talking about restaurants and hospitality, but it sounds like they're growing their direct to consumer sales for restaurants and hospitality, which is really, really good, and something I mentioned earlier that I wanted to see. So good to see that they're actually doing that. And they already have 100% of direct to consumer for sports and entertainment and for their unified commerce platform. So they are avoiding all of the expenses that come with selling through third parties, adding additional middlemen to your business. You don't want that. They're constantly expanding to new markets where there's no competition at all. I would imagine a lot of these countries, maybe in Africa or Eastern Europe or in Latin America, there's not many competitors for the type of software that Shift4 is offering to merchants in those countries. So that's excellent, which means there's a lot of untapped markets that Shift4 can get to first, build a moat in those markets, and then increase the switching costs. So these merchants are going to stay with Shift4 even once new competitors enter the market. So we'll love to see all of that. Then the CPO product officer, who we just finished listening to for now, we'll come back, listen to the rest of what he has to say tomorrow. He started talking about where did I think I lost it here. Where did that go? Oh, it's underneath my my webcam covers the tab that we were just in. Okay, so CPO started talking about how they're reinventing the product pretty much every quarter, which is what they're talking about with new integrations. So just continually improving the product. They sound very, very motivated to win, which as a shareholder, that's what we want to hear, because if they win, we win. Again, they have their SkyTab venue team, the SkyTab team, and then they have the unified commerce team. So, just each team for each product offering that they have. They have, employees in the localized markets, and that's super, super important because, every market has different traditions, different laws. So, having localized employees is really good for compliance, and to conduct business in those new markets. They were talking about great time to value for merchants. This is something that I think is super, super overlooked. Someone might have a great product, but then it takes them forever to get their product integrated into your company. So time to value is super, super important when you're talking about software or B2B offerings. People want to not only use a great product, but they want to get it, running fast. Elon recently had this problem when he was spinning up his Tennessee data center. he got a 2-year timeline to get that data center built, and he said that's stupid. If we take 2 years to build this data center, Grok's never going to be competitive with other LLMs. He was able to partner with companies like SMCI, and they're able to build that data center in 121 days, which is about 2 quarters, which is, that's a fourth the amount of time that they are originally talking about it taking. So, SMCI was able to get chosen by Elon Musk for XAI because they had a quick time to value for Elon. So, don't overlook time to value as a KPI for businesses. It is an important KPI that really matters. So, if a stadium doesn't like their current offering, their current software provider, if they want to, change to a new one and they have a game coming up, they want to be able to integrate the new software before the next game, the next event at their venue. And if, SkyTab can get set up before then and the competitor cannot, even if the competitor has a better offering, they have a good chance of still going with Shift4's product, the SkyTab. So good to see that. They're trying to eliminate service calls, which is great. We love to see less service calls. That means lower operating expenses, as you have to have less, customer service agents. And it also means that they're solving problems. So that's how they're eliminating service calls, is by seeing what problems customers are consistently having and, improving that product, which is another form of a flywheel. This is a, product improvement flywheel, which ultimately is a, customer acquisition flywheel, which is a revenue generating flywheel. So that's really awesome. They talked about their competitor. He said Tosis, I think. I'll have to look them up. And it sounds like they're adding a ton of new products. They're adding invoicing software, tax software, fiscal compliance, tipping, payroll. They're expanding their payroll offering, VR kiosks. So something maybe they'll be partnering with Meta in the future. They're even talking about AI health metrics for businesses and hospitality. Again, restaurants, they have a high fail rate. So if you can offer a software that increases their chance of succeeding in the restaurant industry, that's a huge value add for customers. They're much more likely to pick your software. So if this is true, and they're really able to offer really important metrics and then actionable steps for these restaurants to take, you could absolutely see a bunch of new restaurants start to choose Shift4 over the competitor, who I don't know who it is at this moment, but the number one, and you could see Shift4 take that number one spot. So they are really gunning for that number one spot, which we love to see as investors. Yeah, with some of these things that they're offering, like tax and stuff, it sounds like they might eventually become a competitor to like Intuit Tax, TurboTax, H&R Block, those kind of things, which would be really good. Those are big markets, especially in the U.S. tax filing, all that kind of stuff. There's some other big, tax agencies. I don't remember the name, but they're like for corporate tax companies that help corporations do their taxes. I don't know. So they can greatly expand the markets they can access through their new products offerings, which is great. Looks like in general, just all of this makes me think that there's still tons and tons of room for Shift4 to grow into the future. I love their crypto offering. I think that's a great offering for businesses to be able to accept crypto. The Lighthouse product, kind of sounds like this AI metrics for business a little bit, but it already is here today. Do refunds, chargebacks, all that kind of good stuff. So very, very good. Doing more currency conversion. It sounds like maybe they do some now, but they were also saying that it's going to come soon. So I'm not exactly sure what's up with that, but that's really important as they expand into international markets. And if they have a merchant that comes across a lot of foreign customers, especially for their online platform, which is the unified commerce platform, you're going to have lots of payments that are from international customers. So if they can accept more payments, all the better. This was cool. I don't know if you've ever been in one of these Amazon stores, but they are really, really crazy. You tap your card, you go in, you feel like you're stealing, you're taking stuff, you're putting it into your basket, and you walk out and it charges your car. I think this is the future of shopping for sure. You don't even have to check out anymore. I would love to see this expand, and knowing that Shift4 is going to be a participant in that market, we love to see it. So, and then their ability to offer loyalty rewards for merchants, customers, give them cash back, all that kind of thing. That last little thing that they showed us that didn't really have any animations, that product demo that looked terrible. But I could see what they're trying to demonstrate there, which is like, oh, you bought tickets through us, now we're able to offer you rewards inside the stadium, and plus you get a free Chick-fil-A sandwich at the restaurant next door. So that's incredible that Shift4 is able to offer all of that. Ultimately, the amount of delight that Shift4 will be able to generate for its businesses is dependent on how much delight that the Shift4's customers can generate for their customers. So the value chain starts with Shift4, and then obviously the end customer is still the consumer. So it's cool to see Shift4 thinking about the value they can add even for their customers as their customers' customers. So this is just seems like a very, very good company, good head on this company's shoulders. They're thinking about a lot of things. They're growing a ton. One question I would have with this new genius legislation coming out from the current admin, the U.S. government, is I would love to see with Shift4 expanding into crypto, maybe Shift4 can offer a stable coin, like something like that would be incredible. These stable coin companies are absolutely exploding. So if you have a company like Shift4, which seems like they have great cash flow, so they could probably dump a bunch of money into setting something like this up, could be a really good offering. Could be another service they can offer to their business customers, and maybe even a consumer facing offering. These stable coins are very, very popular, and I think the future of finance. So it'd be cool to see Shift4 get in on that a little bit as well. So we're going to continue this deep dive tomorrow. I appreciate for everyone who's joined me throughout the stream, and if you're watching this after the stream, I appreciate you watching as well. If you're still not watching this more than 2 months later, I'm probably still doing this daily stock deep dive series, so tune in with me the next time I am live. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you got a lot of value out of this. This is not financial advice, but yeah, I hope you were entertained, and I will see you guys